Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop Never stop Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop Never stop dreaming.
Welcome, heroes, to another week of AAOL. We're here in week 4 to witness a couple of fantastic matches, and without further ado, I'm Temporal. I'm joined by Nikki, and what do we have in store for the viewers tonight, Nikki?
Well, we have a few exciting matches. That is what we have: League of Extraordinary Subs and Paul Pork Micro taking place in Division 5, and we have New Era Academy playing up against the Leyline Firebirds in Division 6. So a few of these teams have played on stream recently, so it should be some really exciting stuff.
It should be, and we're getting into the tail end of the stage within the season. Of course, each season is split into 2 separate stages. AAOL itself is a 10-week tournament. I've just said it's 2 stages. So we go 5-week stages. Each group is around each division. Is around 6 teams. So you play each other team once, and whoever's on top at the end of the stage goes away the victor. And maybe there's an opportunity there. You get after the stage, you get promoted if you do really well. So certainly lots to play for. We are the largest Oceanic Overwatch tournament. There's over 70 teams with 12 seasons long. No other Overwatch tournament has even reached anywhere close to that. So it's a fantastic tradition that I'm proud to be a part of here, continuing on into the future. And who knows, we might stand the test of time and become the only Overwatch tournament in the region if Overwatch 2 doesn't get released anytime soon.
Yeah. Oh, we saw some stuff today, so fingers crossed that comes out soon. But yeah, 70 teams, 12th season, all that good stuff. And we're only going up. You can sign up for the next season of AAOL as an individual or as a team. And since the new stage will be starting soon, there'll be opportunities for that all over the place. So look out for that when the next stage comes around.
Indeed, you should do that. And if you want to help out AOE, you can sponsor us on Patreon. There's different tiers depending on your means. Each tier grants, given how Patreon works, grants a different level of exotic perks. To name one, I guess one specific perk you get across all tiers. You get your name near the top of the Discord in this nice bright pink font, and it stands out. It catches the eye. So when people look into the AOE Discord, they look down and think, oh, geez, that person must be pretty fancy to have their name up in lights like that. So you too can help out. jump over onto Patreon, patreon.com/AO Esports to find our page. You can help us continue making AOE and AOL and the various tournaments what they are into the future.
Yeah, also just a bit more self-promotion. We have the In the Backline podcast, which will be taking place fortnightly. So be sure to check that one out. I'm pretty sure it's streamed on Twitch and it'll be available on Spotify and YouTube and all that kind of jazz. So that is definitely something worth checking out if you want to keep up with not only Oceanic Esports and AAOL, but just Overwatch in general, because we get some pretty interesting discussions in there when we get around to it.
Indeed, we do. But right now, let's have a closer look at the first match on the cards tonight. Pulled Pork Micro versus the League of Extraordinary Selves, or LOES as they're stylized in some forms. Both of these teams come in with a very similar record into week 4, both sitting on 1 win, 2 losses. So they're both out for a win this week, hoping to finish off the season strong in Division 5. Starting with Pulled Pork Micro, any players you're looking at here tonight, Nikki?
I'm looking at Insanity, who goes by a few other names, also a caster in the Oceanic scene. Very great person. Also guest on the In the Backline podcast, so be sure to check them out. So I'm very excited to see this main tank play and see how that kind of dictates it. And also, I'm told that Kappas is a bit of a goat on the Rhine, but is actually listed as playing DPS tonight. So I'm hoping to see a bit of that trademark aggression transfer across roles.
A multi-talented player. Sometimes you need to be that kind of flexible role where you don't know where you're going to end up in a team, and sometimes you need to put down the hammer and pick up something a little more flimsy, but still quite capable. It's great to see the player like Kappa there for Pulled Pork Micro to be able to pick up that role and do what is necessary. Flipping over, League of Extraordinary Subs. Oh, they're not all subs. It's a great name, but they're actually a decent team to begin with. They've got their might be the main 6 lined up tonight. Who are you on the lookout for?
I remember Bob Americano being kind of nutty. I believe it was on the Widowmaker. I could be mistaken, but they had a few standout performances that had me and my co-caster absolutely losing our marbles. So if you see any lost and found posters around the place for any marbles, they're probably mine. Please call me back. I'm really in a desperate search for them.
Indeed. And both teams will be looking for... sorry. Take it back. Well, also, Nikki, we've had that new patch come in. Orisa got her fortified slightly buffed. No more headshots while she's using that cooldown. The Wrecking Ball got a little bit debuffed. The grapple doesn't knock people back as much. And a couple of other quality of life changes. Reaper shotguns had their cones reduced and damage reduced to give them a bit more long range. What are your feelings on how that may or may not impact the way the team want to play tonight?
I think given that the patch itself went live in the past like 48 hours, I don't think we'll see any significant change. The only possible thing that this is really grasping at straws here is Pulled Pork, of course, being the Orisa Hog Hook combo. That is what it was kind of called. So maybe that's what they like, and that's like what really got this team started. So we could see that coming back potentially. The team was formed in like mid-2020. That was definitely a prevalent strategy back then. So maybe we could see them returning to some like grassroots for Pulled Pork Micro.
Maybe that's exactly why Insanity, aka Slayer, is in tonight. The Orisa specialist. Saw those patch notes, thought, good God, I've got to get myself in on this.
Yeah, it's so much fun playing. Like, just playing Overwatch in general, it can be so good, especially in these team environments. That is what AAOL provides for us at home. Definitely worth checking out, trying to get involved in. I mentioned there should be links to the Discord server and all that stuff down below. That can give you ways to sign up and play as a team or as a free agent. So yeah, I've promoted again. That's pretty epic.
Yeah, it's a great place to be here at AOE. The teams are just running up there, calming their nerves, the calm before the storm as it is, because we've got a long night of Overwatch ahead of us. The first of our double header. Starting out on Control, coming into a Control map, I believe Oasis will be the first one. What can we expect to see here, particularly given the varied environment we see on the different sub maps within Oasis?
I'm pretty sure, particularly on Gardens and City Centre, it's very likely that we see a decent amount of Echo accompanied with the Wrecking Ball. The Tracer will also probably be a pretty prevalent pick. Excuse me, sorry. But yeah, I don't think we'll see much change up, especially on Oasis. It's pretty solid dive-wise all the way around. So I think if we did at any point see something like an Orisa come into the hero roster, that'd be a bit later on down the series.
Indeed it will. And we're going to load in. First stage will be Gardens. So Sage, Oasis in particular, but this particular stage, notorious for excessively long overtimes. Who knows, we could be spending the first hour of our night here just waiting for that golden bar to whittle down. So far, the teams are preparing to roll out. They're selecting their first heroes, and assuming we're not being baited, Nikki, it looks like we might have some different styles in play.
Yeah, this will be a really interesting clash. They're like more traditional dive versus a bit of a brawl composition, but even as looking at the composition for Pulled Pork, it doesn't seem to make much sense. Like, there's a Pharmacy combo, there's a Ryan Zarya combo, and there's a McCree Bap combo. Those three duos together work okay, but as a whole team unit, I'm not quite sure how it will pay out. I think that the Ryan will really struggle with a lack of mobility, especially without a Lucio, and the Pharah might have a bit of a rough time against the McCree. So definitely watch out for that. But taking the high ground's a really good start. Getting Kappas up there in the high ground early is important.
What do you mean, lack of mobility? Insanity right into the fray. They've got the charge. That's all the mobility you need. And so far, it's been paying off. Seeing the D.Va out and make Nage in the sky uncontested. Going to seal an easy first point for the Pulled Pork Micro.
Yeah, they didn't actually have much of a struggle. The side of LOES, they tried to dive up on that high ground, but they just kind of ran into a hammer, which isn't ideal. And also, NDOS had a pretty nice immortality field up in there. It's keeping everyone safe. If you play in there safely, you're not going to die. It's called immortality field for a reason. So good play from them all the way around. And now with the Reinhardt and their positioning on point, they might be able to hold the choke a little bit better and just fight in these small rooms where they'll have much more of an advantage over the dive.
Once again, Insanity is the one to open things up. King Spiky maybe dodging into a fire strike rather than away from one. An early Earth Shatter out of the Reinhardt. It's going to lay down a couple of players. The rest of Pulled Pork Micro capably follow that up. They cop a Bio Grenade to the front line. But it's okay. Kappa is here on a DPS. You know, usually a tank, but providing support in this particular fight. Brilliant play out of the McCree. It's going to avenge those two tanks going down. Oh, actually, Daylight has managed to survive.
Yeah, Kappas just kind of went huge in that fight, just doing the thing on McCree where you click on people and they get sent back to the spawn room. Pretty good stuff from them. And I think that I kind of undersold this McCree pick at the start of the round. It's doing a really good job at flashbanging these two flanking DPS heroes of the Genji and the Tracer. Like, they just can't get anywhere close to the McCree, and the McCree's usually playing around the rest of the team, so they're just having such a hard time diving. And once they're locked up like that, it's easy pickings for someone like Insanity.
The Sleep on Insanity is answered by the Graviton Surge out of Daylight. Nage over the top, delivering justice from above, and justice is swift. Pulled Pork Micro, a beautifully quick teamfight win.
Yeah, that was kind of filthy from Nage, wrapping all the way around that central pillar, separating the two choke points onto the objective itself. Just getting a really good sightline into that Graviton Surge. Really good stuff from them. 2 ultimates invested into that fight, actually 3 alongside the Valkyrie. So it could be worse, but going into final fight territory, LOES might be in a little bit of a pickle. They've been ult saving.
But the Nano Blade is online. Boba Medicanu sweeping through the opposition. Nothing can stop this Kenji. Kikek's army wants to chip in as well. Doesn't want to let the DPS have all the glory. And in the nick of time, LOES are able to flip the point back, but now they've got a task ahead of them.
Yeah, they had to use, 4 ultimates to flip that, and it was their biggest ultimates as well. They used the Nano Blade combo, chucked a bomb in there as well. All got good value, but it mightn't be the most economical thing in the world. And in the long run, it's 99% for Pulled Pork, so they just only need one fight to kind of flip this point back to their favor and take the first round of Oasis. They have plenty of ultimates that are capable of doing that. A flanking High Noon can get it done. Big Shatter from Insanity with no shields in play will certainly get it done as well, so watch out for that.
Speaking of flanking, Pulled Pork playing around this outside plays
that's
well,
true,
but
man.
Insanity dives in, manages to get a good Earth Shatter out, but Slep not able to get the follow-up. They need Kappas once again with the data. Opens up onto Foggy, and McCree is playing a point-and-click adventure. Once again, Nage over the top, this dynamic DPS duo at a Pool Port Micro just has free reign over the point. Overtime has been triggered now, the point is flipped back, and no one from LOES going to be able to touch a nice, clean Gardens. Goes the way of Pool Pork Micro.
Yeah, I really undersold their competition, the composition, excuse me, that Paul Pork was running. In hindsight, as I look back at it and just looking at the roster on paper and thinking a bit more in depth about it, the Graviton Surge Pharah ult combo is very prevalent, and the High Noon, especially playing into the DPS that were being ran by LOES, just got so much value in shutting down those flankers. As we get into a stage like University here, where it might be a little, it's a bit more closed in, maybe not as many flanking options, the McCree mightn't get as much value, and also it's a bit more closed in, so that Nage might have a bit more of a tricky time traversing the skyways as the Pharah. And actually look at this, Bob Americano and King Spiky swapping onto those long-range sniper characters. They've been fed up with Nage, they've had it up to here, and they're going to have a really rough time from now on. Going to have to be really careful about where they position themselves and use of cover very well to keep their life intact.
And Polo across onto the Zenyatta as well. Already put on Nage. The Pharah had to back off. Bob Americano opens up the account. A quick resurrection. In addition to a quick early picks for Pool Port Micro. He's going to see them take up an advanced position on the point. Yeah, LOES are going to have to back off and give it up pretty quietly.
Yeah, Nage got into a bit of an encounter with King Spiky on coast side. Pharah v Hanzo, actually. The Pharah ended up taking the dub there. King Spiky just a bit unable to hit those shots, which is a bit unfortunate. And in the midst of it as well, Foggy fell to the hands of Kappas. And that's again just the flashbang of Kappas getting a lot of value in shutting down that Reinhardt. And especially when you have a Mercy damage boost, that Reinhardt is going to tank that damage so quickly. The shield management and positioning from Foggy is going to be absolutely crucial here.
Insanity going very aggressive, gets slept once again, so Medic's doing a decent job of sleeping. The Reinhardt, nano boost onto Foggy. The Reinhardt laid down the Earth Shadow, didn't quite get the value they wanted out of it, but Polo following up with the Transcendence, going to provide plenty of cover. Foggy gets the
That's a big grab. Oh.
Beautiful grab out of Daylight. It's going to lock the rest of LOES up, and they're not going to be able to capture any progress on the point.
That was actually so good from Daylight. They were in a position where their main tank had fallen, and they had a decent amount of pressure on point and against them, and just having really good awareness of they could take that fight. They had the potential to win it off the back of that ultimate, executed it perfectly. There's also only that and the Valkyrie. It's a very economical fight as well. This next fight won't be any easier for LOES because they're walking into a slam and a Pharah ult combo. The barrage is just going to be absolutely devastating when you're all on the ground.
Both Reinhardts lay down their Earth Shatters once again. As you call, the barrage is going to clean up the remains of what Insanity leaves right in Nage's path. The Pharah did die at mid-ult, but Goat is there with a friendly little res. Pool Port Micro inch ever closer to our map victory.
Yeah, I think what's really astounding to me about Paul Pork's play here is that they just seem to be so confident going into every single fight. Nothing has seemed to phase them so far. Like, they've kind of had an answer for everything, and they've just been pulling it off really well. But this might be a bit of a hindrance. The Bob on the point, that's a lot of HP to burn through.
Insanity under a lot of pressure. The Immortality field plus the Fire Strike enough to take care of the Bob on the side. King Spiky trying to get value with the attack fires. Not going to be, well, actually going to be finding one, but Cap is there to shut it down with a flashbang. What? The tables have turned LOES. They look down and out, sneaky, but they're able to flip the point back once again at 99%.
It mightn't be too long though. Foggy actually falls. It's a 1v1 between the Zenyatta and the Zarya, but the Zarya chooses not to go for it. And in that time, the Moira has come back around, but the grab.
There it is.
They are actually going for it. Polar pops the trans to keep them all alive. But now, that is just giving so much time for Pool Pop to get back on the point, Temporal.
That's brilliant play out of Daylight. Just biding their time to the solo ulting. Polar force the Transcendence. Now the big tool gone from LOES Arsenal. Though the Foggy's been able to build up an Earth Shatter, they lay it down. Goat and Endius Fax are both down, so no supports for Pool Pop Micro. They're going to be the ones backing off.
I'm just thinking along this alternate timeline, the parallel universe, where Polar didn't quite have that Transcendence up and died in the grab. That very easily, we could be in the break right now after Pool Pop taking Oasis. So very good trance from Polar to there to keep them in this map. and Foggy just with the slam to kind of close it out as well. That's the one time Goat has looked like they've been caught out of positioning.
Oh, what
But
an
there's
earth
actually a
shadow.
really
Lays
big plan
down
as well.
2. LOES has nothing to deal with it as Port Micro march onto the point. Nage on the sky. The barrage does a bit of damage, but doesn't quite get any guaranteed kills. The 2 tanks from Pork are the ones that finish those up. Nage back into the fight once again. And once Kiki is down, the point will shortly be flipped back into Port Micro's favor. They're looking good to seal the deal.
Yeah, Daylight will be able to grab them off the point. There it is, shutting down the Doomfist. They won't be able to seismic slam over that one, get sucked into the ultimate. Pork Micro taking a really solid first map, of Oasis, and one thing that has stood out to me is that they didn't swap off that composition once. They didn't feel pressured enough to swap off it. And I think that as soon as you get them out of that comfort zone, it's something that they've obviously put a lot of time into practicing. That is when LOES will have the best chance of actually shutting down Pork.
Well, the pressure is certainly on that team to find a composition that makes Pork feel that fear, feel that little bit of doubt that makes them want to swap away. Part of what goes into that will be being able to pick the next map. And I guess if you're the side of LOES, you've shown a couple of different styles. We don't really have a feel for what they want to run necessarily. Maybe that double bubble is a good indication, or the Winston Diva we saw at the start of Gardens. But right now, they just need to reset, think, and hopefully pick a map where Nage and Kappas aren't able to get the value they were on those 2 heroes.
Yeah, their options are between Blizzard World and Hollywood. So if they are worried about this composition from Pork Micro and what value they're going to get out of it, and given I am fully aware that Bob Americano has an absolutely nasty Widowmaker, that would make me a bit more inclined to go to Blizzard World, wouldn't it? Because especially the sightlines on first point are just kind of ridiculous.
It is very open. Hollywood will provide a lot of cover. You've got the first archway, you've got the building next to the point, you've got cafes. So definitely as food for thought for the League of Extraordinary Subs, and we know they've got the tools to work with. You've been mentioning Bob Americano. Foggy was standing up well against Insanity there as well on the main tank, able to get in a couple of Earth Shatters. It was just unfortunate for them that LOES just happened to be on the back foot a lot of the time, so they weren't able to capitalize on those ultimates once they went down. So hopefully for Foggy's sake, they're able to find a few more opportunities to make a big impact, get those openings onto Port Micro, and get their team back into the match. Because if this map doesn't go their way, they will be looking down the barrel of a match point and have to reverse sweep the rest of the way to victory.
Yeah, that's a daunting prospect, knowing that there's no more room for slip up. All of your get out of jail frees have kind of been expended in those first 2 maps, and that is absolutely just horrifying prospect. But in reverse, it also puts a lot of pressure onto Pork Micro, because if they lose that 3rd map and the reverse sweep looks like it's on the cards, that is just the doubt starts to set in Pork, and they're like, oh my goodness, we might actually lose this. We might actually lose this. And that can be just equally as scary. So there's definitely a lot of mental games going on here.
It's certainly a horrible feeling to have that lead. Sometimes you even get it in your ranked games. You set a massive time bank. The other team finishes with a little bit of time. They attack again, they complete. And as your time bank whittles down on your second attack, you think, oh, geez, I was feeling so good later. But it can be hard to bounce back from. But you know what? That's in the future. We may not get there. Pork Micro, they're looking confident. We'll see how they choose to approach this map. They will get to start on the defense. So they'll have a good idea, especially after the first round completes, on how they want to approach the map. Insanity, once again, looks like they're going to be locking in the Reinhardt. So coming into this, a lot of expectation on them. I guess you don't want to be coming back to the casting booth and with your tail between your legs, your head down a bit. You know, we're a savage bunch sometimes, Nikki. And so far, Insanity has been standing up and not really giving us any room to rag on them.
It's a bit disappointing. I had a few good banter lines ready to throw out. But unfortunately, they might have to stay stashed away in my collection of notepad documents, which is a bit of a shame. Key switch ups here compositionally for the defense of Full Pork is Naj is swapping off of the Pharah onto the Hanzo. This makes a lot of sense. It's just so easy to get sniped out of the sky against the Widowmaker here. So instead they go for the Hanzo, and they also have the Sigma. So the Sigma will likely sit up, and I think at least should be aiming to either take the high ground with the Hanzo, or the Sigma and the Hanzo should both flank and start to generate a little bit of a crossfire onto the offense. So they definitely have a few options of how they can play this defensively. So lots of chances here for Pull Pork to sustain.
Speaking of changes, King Spiky onto the Junkrat, already finding value. Kalpus is down. No Mercy Resurrection this time for the McCree. Goat follows not long after. LOES immediately advance onto the point. The Immortality Field ain't protecting much for Pull Pork Micro. This looks like it's all red in the kill feed. A quick point A take for League of Extraordinary Subs.
Yeah, it actually really was. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened. I think that an aspect of it was definitely the Junkrat, and that Insanity's shield would have been so, and Daylight's shield as well, would have been so low by the time that fight even started off, just from the Junkrat spam. But I also think that the swap for KK Kazami onto the Sigma, is going to do a lot of work in providing a bit more damage than that Diva as well, and keeping Foggy's shield alive. So that extra shield, the Ryan Sigma mirror is going to be really important here. But also another interesting battle we have to watch out for is Bob Americano versus Nage. So they have the two snipers. Theoretically, this should go to the way of the Widowmaker with that hit scan, but they're going to have to take some good positioning, and Nage has all the positioning in the world up on this high ground at the moment.
Oh no, Insanity just lured the League into their clutches. Earthshatter laid down, he caught a Bio Grenade in response, but when all is said and done, it will be Pull Pork coming out on top of this fight. They've got the cart right where they want it.
Yeah, they actually get a pretty significant amount of progress there before they ended up losing that fight. Foggy might have got a little bit big for their boots, just the tiniest little bit far forward. And as you mentioned, Insanity was there with the punish. Insanity will get those every day of the week. So that's a bit of a warning to Foggy. Hopefully we don't see that mistake coming through again, because at that point it isn't a mistake, and that's just... I don't want to call them a bad player. But if they keep on making that mistake, that's kind of the side that you have to lean towards. So I'm hoping to see a bit of a step up from Foggy here, and they certainly have the potential for it with the Slam Online.
Ults plenty for both sides. Losing Go early is going to make things a little harder for the defense. The Riptire on its way, seeking a target right into the front line. Going to have to deal with the Immortality Field. It ends up being the only victim of that ult. It's the responding Dragons. Earthshatter out from Foggy as well. The League throw everything they have into this fight. It's paying off for them too. The car is going to continue its advance forward.
Yeah, that was a really good fight from Foggy. It was so unlucky that Foggy didn't actually get the pick onto the counterpart Insanity. It was like Insanity just got like the stun animation put them just in range of that Immortality Field. It was like so close. That 100% should have been an elimination, but just stayed alive by the skin of their teeth.
Beautiful combo, but the Deadeye grab Flux doesn't quite find any direct value. However, the tanks from Pull Pork Micro more than capable. Insanity on a killing spree, swinging that hammer, clearing the cart as it finished. It got to about a meter from the end, Nikki, but no further no further.
Yeah, it was so close to just getting a really quick start into point C, and I really like what the defense of Pull Pork is doing here. Even though the cart's all the way back at the end of the checkpoint, they want to fight at this choke. It's where they think that the Hanzo is going to get the most value, and it's also where the DPS players can take the high ground and hold it. Kappas is actually doing that there as they take down the counterpart projectile DPS. But all of this high ground push, this is going to be an interesting fight to follow.
Pull Pork Micro flex back, but once again it's just to allow Insanity to lay down the Earthshatter. They get one direct kill off that. Insanity follows up. Nage follows up with a quick double, and the League, they're just having so much trouble finding a way through this defense.
Yeah, I think they made the right decision pathing along the high ground. It's also just, not only does it get high ground, but it's also just quicker than wrapping all the way around following the path of the payload. It was 100% the right decision, but they just kind of got caught with their pants down by Insanity, getting a really nice, I'm pretty sure it was a 3-man slam. And after that, there's really not much you can do. But this fight should be looking pretty good for them. They have a few ultimates going into it, and they'll get the rest of them during the fight. This fight is the one that LOES should be winning.
And a beautiful opening there. Bob Americano able to find NDS Fax. No amplification matrix for the defense now. As the sides are kind of reversed. Beautiful grab flux. Oh, Daylight slept in the middle of it, lying down, surrounded by enemies. The kill isn't there on the Sigma, but the rest of the league is able to find the remaining defenders. Daylight finally goes down. The cart will continue its path forward. They might just be able to get this one home.
I think it's impossible to understate how massive of a sleep dart that was from Medics. There was like 3 players caught in that flux. It was going to be absolutely massive. They're all squishies as well. But Medics landing that clutch sleep, cancelling that ultimate ability, and the attempted re-engage was not only late, but it just cost them a few players as well. So really solid play so far on Blizzard World from LOES. I love the turnaround that we're seeing here. They're playing with a lot more confidence, and they aren't letting Pulport get all up in their grill like they kind of were in Oasis. And they also have a few ultimates going into this fight. The tire can be really big, especially following up after a big flux if Kekigazami manages to hit one. So there's certainly a lot of opportunities here for LOES to exploit.
Insanity looking for another solid Earth Shatter. Foggy trying to defend it, but not going to be finding it. The Reinhardt gets laid down. Kekigazami answers back, as does King Spiky. A brilliant Riptire is going to see away the front line of Pulport Micro. As you said, League of Extraordinary Subs on the warpath, looking unstoppable for the moment.
Yeah, that was so good. Insanity did actually manage to land a 3-man slam, I'm pretty sure it was. Again, just being so consistent with those, but it just wasn't enough. King Spiky brought it back. And look at the aggression from Foggy. Foggy goes in so deep.
The Immortality Field, the only thing that saved the front line of Pulport Micro. Gives her a moment for Nage to come back in. The Junkrat, the counter Junkrat from both teams is on the field. Not something you see every day. Kills going back and forth, but it is going to favor the defenders in the end.
Man, that could have been absolutely massive from Foggy. Got a really good early pin onto Insanity and then dropped the slam straight away while the Vine was out of the picture. Wonderful play from them. This didn't quite manage to come to any fruition. NDO's Fax had a really nice garage door amp matrix that just got a whole lot of value, and it just was so much pressure on Foggy to the point that they actually had to return to the spawn room. But a quick point, Goat has been on this Lucio for a while, and I haven't seen the sound barrier out of them. There's been a really slow charge out of them. Have they been dying a lot?
Yeah, they've been dying in the start a couple of fights. The DPS from LOES have been doing a really good job picking off their counter supports. Speaking of counters, Nage takes care of King Spiky. The Riptire off the table for the moment. Ulta plenty everywhere coming out. Foggy, though, with the nano boost, going to be very survivable. Gonna lay down a beautiful Earth Shatter. They're gonna clear the point. The Immortality Field ain't gonna save you if you're not in it. 13 seconds left on the clock, but the cart inching ever closer to coming home. The emergency swaps now. Daylight on the Wrecking Ball will be burnt down very quickly. At this point, LOES, they might just finish with time. They're able to clear up the cart, but I think... Oh, they do 1.3 seconds. That is absolutely crucial.
It so is. That 1.3 seconds is... It's pretty much everything. It means that if Pulport cap with more than 0 seconds left, they both get a minute on the clock. If they finish in overtime and Pulport finish with over a minute left, the best that they could do on Blizzard World is a draw, and there's no way to even up this series.
Not quite.
Very, very crucial 1.3 seconds.
You have to finish with, I think, it only matters if your other team finishes with over a minute left.
Oh, you're right. Excuse me. Yeah, I do play this game, and I sometimes even know how it works. I swear.
Just your team never makes it to the end, so you never really know. Or maybe that's just my experience. Who knows?
Oh no, it's me too, buddy. Me too.
Yeah. So what it does is it guarantees the league another attack. It means the draw isn't. They're not going to be facing down playing for a draw.
That's a bit demoralizing as well, playing for a draw.
Man.
It doesn't instill the most confidence.
Especially when you forget and you do this heroic 3-minute first hold on A, you go, yes, draw, and oh, that's all I was playing for?
Yeah, it's an absolute heartbreaker. And I really like the defensive composition that we're seeing here as well. Bob Americano is just going to get a lot of value spamming down those chokes. Insanity's shield is going to take so much damage by the time they're actually in a range to fight in this close range composition. So the Hanzo pick is going to be really crucial to look out for, especially in exploiting these high grounds like they're doing at the moment. But the passing for the offense is good as well, trying to stay as much out of that LOS of the Hanzo as possible. And they've actually gained the entire front half of the map, and they are ready to go onto the point. With the Tourbillon turret falling early, this is a really solid opening for Pulport.
Just like their opposition, Pulport wasting no time making the way to pause point A. Kappas with an early pick onto King Spike. That's Tourbillon and turret down for the count. Mage goes very low, but just able to get away thanks to the Cryo Freeze. Sanity charges forward with the beautiful bubble. Gonna get slept once it wears off, and by grenade. There's 3 players on Pulport Micro under threat of not getting any heals, but the rest of the team is there in support. They're able to get the job done, and once again we see a quick point A cap.
Yeah, that was actually a really good set offensive play from Pulport Micro there. They were just kind of sitting in front of that barn, like it was just that like barn wall separating them from actually touching the point. And they faked right side, like they looked like they were rotating right side, and then immediately sped left with the Lucio. And that just caught King Spiky on the Tourbillon a little bit off guard. The Tourbillon was shut down, and the focus fire was there, the positioning was there. Really good play from them.
Oh, what a wall. Foggy trapped, had absolutely no hope. The counter dragon looking for some value. Bob Americano actually just arrows nades down, but Cart will continue its inexorable progress forwards.
Ooh.
Nice little Earthshatter's going to lay the rest of the defenders down, but they really had no hope, no protection.
Yeah, that was just, that slam, it was really, it was hardly even a fight. I'd like to call that a tempo
A BM slam.
I'm going to use the nice word of tempo, because it is getting so much more cart progress without actually having a fight. But Foggy is looking to do a similar thing and halt that tempo, because they have the slam of their own, looking for down off the top ropes, go for the slam, assist us with the mana boost.
Lays it down, but everyone from Pulport able to dodge it. Nice bio grenade. It's going to result in the sound barrier out of Goat. Kappas on the high ground gets one with the data before being taken down.
Oh, what
Goat
a freeze.
chimes in. Yeah, the Blizzard locking all the defenders in place. They got no answer to that. The rally had worn off. And with that, oh, that's a last minute Graviton Surge. Kiki looking for something, but in the end just throwing that away.
And the Gravitic Flux wasn't really necessary there. That was like a 1v4. I think that's one that Keke Kazami is really going to be wanting in that back pocket again. Swapping to Zara. That might be a rage swap even, honestly. I'd be pretty disappointed if I did that. But it happens, and miscommunications happen. They might have thought that there were more people on the way back. But yeah, that was a bit of a misuse of an ultimate. But to be fair, it's the really first big mistake that we've seen out of any team so far tonight, really.
Couple of DPS ultimates going to be online for the defense, so they've got a little opening to work with, but the Amplification Matrix actually the first item on the agenda. The Dragon sweeps through the back. Goat doesn't quite see it coming through the building. Nicely placed by Bob Americano. King Spiky on the high ground, chunking in damage. Cart's going to pass them by. Indy is Fax taking a little nap. It's not too late at night. Maybe you're in New Zealand, who knows, it's a bit later there, but Bob Americano, that's what you get for sleeping on the cart, Mr. Baptiste. You're going to get sent packing back to spawn. Foggy with an Earthshatter as well. Wants to shut this attack down no matter what. Pulport Micro will have to rethink things, but they've got plenty of time to work with.
Yeah, excuse me, LOES really played a bit of Pulport's game right then. And it was all off the back of Daylight going a little bit too far forward, just that tiniest margin ahead of the rest of the team. And LOES pounced on them. Daylight didn't stand a chance. There were like 6 people firing at them. They were dead so quickly. Really good capitalization on a mistake from LOES.
Pulport Micro going to have 4 ultimates, 2 tanks, 2 DPS coming into this fight. King Spike is tired, doesn't quite find any direct value. Serpent Knight and Bob Americano though, getting a couple of early picks. Is going to make Pulport rethink this, and you can see them retreating already, Nikki.
Yeah, they're getting all the way out of dodge. They know that there's no way they're winning that fight. Very smart to get out. And all they're doing, I've just looked up at the ult bank for the side of Pulport Micro, and they are very close to that big 6. And I think really crucially, how they won point B was the Graviton Surge locking everyone up, and then the slam keeping them there.
Foggy dodges it, but the rest of the ultimates come out over the top. Bob Americano, what a dragon! The dragon takes 4, and Pulport Micro, they thought they had it, they thought they had the play, but Bob Americano shuts them down.
I thought they had to play 2 temporal. It was absolutely textbook stuff. They did exactly what they did on point B. They had the Graviton Surge, everyone's locked up, they used the Blizzard in there to lock them up even more. But Bob Americano, everyone was grouped up, capitalizing on those locked up players, and they just fell to the Dragon. Massive Dragon Strike from Bob Americano, saving this team, possibly the map.
And now we're going to see LOES engaging with both support ultimates. 3 support ultimates in this fight. Goat lays down the sound barrier as well. No one quite dead yet thanks to all the healing, but once they wear off, you can see trades start coming through for either team. A DPS apiece down. Both Reinhardt's going toe-to-toe. Insanity's very low. The tank line from LOES chasing that one up. Foggy lays an Earth Shatter down. Gets killed in the process, but it's bought enough space for LOES to consolidate for the moment. That time back from Pulled Pork not looking so good now.
No, it is falling very, very quickly. Those 2 fights were very, very dominant for the defense of LOES. And look at that, Bob Americano has another Dragon back online. And with Keke Kazami approaching that Graviton Surge as well, that is a very easy combo that they can execute to win another fight and shave another minute off that clock. But they are fighting into a few hindrances. The Immortality field from the Baptiste is going to be massive as well.
An early Graviton Surge locks him up. The Dragon comes through. Bob Americano gets killed in the middle of it though. Kappas, the beautiful Deadeye. The trades are easily favouring Pulled Pork at this point, so the set play from LOES not quite coming off, and now minute 30 on the clock. Can Pulled Pork get it home with time to spare?
Oh, I don't think so. And the Doomfist is on the field, so they very likely will have a contest, but it's going to be a close. Is there a contest? Cut!
No,
They don't touch the ball!
I think King Spiky might have been stunned there, but I mean, you see those ultimates come out from Pulled Pork. If anything, LOES may have just burnt off extra 10, extra 20 seconds. They're not going to be too phased with the way that played out. But now we go into the overtime rounds. Nikki, and the time bank difference. Normally, you would say, yeah, there's a difference here. 1 minute versus 2 minutes. But given the way both teams attack point A, I'm thinking it might not matter.
Yeah, also, I apologize for overreacting. I thought that was a massive C9, but I believe I did miss a few crucial crowd control abilities.
That's right. There was a team kill prior to that, so they're still rushing out of spawn.
Yeah, and Insanity and Daylight were holding the gates very, very well just at the spawn doors, and no way they're going to touch. So, yeah, I got a bit overzealous. I'm sorry, boys and girls. But yeah, you're 100% right. The time bank is going to be maybe not as crucial. But I think that what is really going to be important is that the offense for Pulled Pork Micro, they can very likely have 2 shots at it. But the LOES don't have that option. They don't have that luxury. It is get in or get out, really. Like, they have to play it really, really quickly if they want to cap with overtime on the payload and start making some progress into point B. And they're going for a... No, I'm glad this goes off the back. We're taking too much time to set up.
Let's not entertain that thought. You're right, it's a long way to go to the point. They're stretching those legs, sprinting as fast as they can, because they might be attacking the point in overtime, given how long this rollout has to be. As it is, I'm talking all through the colour time. My apologies, but LOES, they're making the progress. They're maybe fainting right side. No, but Foggy goes down almost right away. The damage being chunked in by Pulled Pork Micro is just too much to handle. You get one with Goat there. The resurrection on the table. Still a full 6 play. Oh, King Spiky making an opening.
Yeah, that should be resable for Goat, though. Their positioning all night has been pretty solid. But maybe they aren't in a position to res it. I don't know.
They already used it. So.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry. But this is going to be so hard to touch. Even, like, contesting the point for LOES here is going to be extremely difficult. They don't have a Lucio to speed boost, but the Ryan and Desire are charging forward, and they do make contact.
So King Spiky might just have a Riptire in this fight. Kiki goes low, so low. The Zarya backs up, but isn't quite able to get saved. The Amplification Matrix out. Endius backs to lone support now for the defense. And you know what? You don't need the support when you've got DPS like Nage and Kappas blowing your opponent away. In the end, nothing doing for LOES. They won't get any progress on the point. And now, Nikki, they are playing for the draw.
Yeah, the win condition is absolutely set in stone. Pulled Pork Micro are playing for the win. They have 2 minutes and 16 seconds to get 1 tick on point A of Blizzard World to go up 2-0 in the series, push themselves to match point. And as you mentioned, the defense is absolutely playing for the draw. That is the best case scenario. There's no getting better than a draw. And this isn't looking too good for the defense of LOES. But in saying that, we thought that the offense could go pretty quickly. It went pretty quickly last time, so maybe it's no different of the defense. I don't know. I'm trying to grasp at straws for what positives are on the field here for LOES, but it's looking pretty nasty.
Bob Americano, who was pretty quiet on Oasis. I feel like Kappas was definitely getting the better of them on the start of Pool Pork's attack, but all of a sudden, maybe it was just their started warmed up, maybe it was that Hanzo swap, but all of a sudden they were alive and flourishing. We saw beautiful dragons, just quality play all round, even in the neutral fights from Bob Americano, so maybe that is the play here. We've seen them come out on the Widowmaker. Hopefully they're able to get a couple of kills on the way in. We saw what they're able to do to the Pool Pork's defense on the first round of attack and defense. Hopefully they're able to repeat the performance and prevent any progress from Pool Pork Micro.
Yeah, and really interestingly, the offense has had a really big compositional shakeup. Like, they've gone back to their... Or, as I say...
We almost got Pool Pork out of Pool Pork Micro. So close. Curse
it would have been pretty good.
Reconnaissance.
I also think that swapping back to their bread and butter is absolutely the right call. One, because they're confident with it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But also, the Pool Pork competition takes so much time to set up, and they want to guarantee 2 fights if possible. And that is a massive first pick. Is it in a resible position? I don't know. But look at them, they're just stampeding the point.
Doesn't matter. You've lost too many players. The entire front line has gone. Insanity taking a nap on point. Yeah, you've got the player numbers, but at least show your opponent some respect, mate. We'll have words in the casting booth afterwards, but that will be that Pool Pork Micro. Extend their map lead out to 2. They are on the verge of a win and putting themselves at 2-2 in the group.
They are 2-0 up, match point. But I think a really big takeaway that we have to look at here is it was pretty good play. It was so much improved play, I should say, from Oasis to Blizzard World, as we see Foggy, this landing an absolute monster.
It
that was
threw
filthy.
them out of the immortality field.
Oh, that's kind of big brain.
So
Hold up.
Even more impressive, that got play of the game and not Bob's 4K with the Dragons.
Yeah, I would love to see Bob's perspective of that Dragon Strike as well. But I think a lot of it was credit to just everyone grouping up around that Graviton Surge and the Blizzard. So
that too. I think both the tanks for LOES also threw in their ultimate sets, so we did them a little discredit. It was a team effort there, but Bob Americano, I guess, gets the accolades because that's what was on the kill feed.
Definitely not typing to the players in chat. Couldn't be me. Okay. So we have. So it is. Excuse me. It is LOES pick again going into map 3. Their options are between Hanamura and Anubis. So I think that if they want to change it up a little bit, they should. In the defense, you can display so much more static on something like an Orisa. Or if they want, like, especially with the recent changes that have came through, that is definitely an option if they're considering that. But still, neither of these maps are looking awful for like the Brawly Reinhardt composition that has been played Temporal. Like, there's so many options to just speed up on Hanamura on second point, speed up the stairs, or you can go all the way left through K's on Anubis.
Yeah, I mean, Anubis, not a terrible choice. You got King Spike, he was the first one to opt into the Junkrat pick as well, so maybe that's the way to go. You want to lead into that. It was doing a great job, though of course we saw Nage swap onto it too. Not quite as flashy, but it means that Pool Pork Micro is happy to run that, and I wouldn't mind a bit of Anubis here because that could be a map that Pool Pork comes out on. We've seen it recently in other matches that have gone on in AOL and outside AOL, particularly on Anubis, but I don't think that's going to be the play. So LOES is going to that Hanamura pick.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think, am I back online now, Temporal?
Yes,
am I all good? Lovely jubbly. Sorry about that, boys and girls. OCE Internet doing an absolute wonder there. So, for NBN, yeah!
Yay!
Okay, so in my absence, the map pick has gone through. We have settled into Hanamura. And I think that Hanamura provides a lot more, at least this is from my experience, there's a lot more set plays that you can execute on Hanamura. Like there's a few sneaky little teleport strats you can do on the offense. We saw the Torbjorn attempt to be whipped out on Blizzard World. Maybe that's something they want to replicate here. So LOES have a few options, but I think also the Brawl comp, the Reinhardt, and even the Sigma or the Zarya that we've been seeing out of Insanity and Daylight and Pull Pork Micro is going to be just as prevalent here. There's not going to be any major hindrances. We could even see a return of the Pharah on first point temporal.
That we could say. I mean, maybe Nage is quite bold and happy to play Pharah second point as well. There are high roofs in there, so room to maneuver. And you might have to take all the opportunities you can get to play 2CP, because, I mean, if you read between the lines, today, Jeff said 2CP, go on the way of the Dodo in Overwatch 2. You've only got another 8 or 9 years to play it.
I will be absolutely heartbroken if 2CP goes. As everyone knows, it is me and Papadaka's favorite game mode. It's absolutely stellar stuff. I love it to death. It's just
Papa,
so much fun.
who likes jinxing things and calling it Draw Nubis going into the map, and lo and behold, you end up playing Draw Nubis. Oh, anyway, thank goodness they're not here. Goat already showing their displeasure with this game mode going off the side. You may not be able to see that in stream. They're just, it's the getting ready phase. You do what you like. So far though, Port Micro going to be opening up on the defense, and they're looking like they want to show something we've seen before from them.
Yeah, not straying too much off the beaten path. I think that the Mei is going to be really important, especially in this first point choke. And if someone gets walled off, I have every faith in the world that Insanity and the rest of the team will buckle down on that so quickly. So they're going to have to push through the choke as an absolute cohesive unit. And to negate that, they're using the teleport. I actually really like that play, negating that opportunity for the Mei wall on first. Now it's burned. Now they just have to wait out the wall and then they can fight.
King Spiky able to get the drop onto Daylight, opening this up. Bob Americano around the outside too. Closes in and annihilates Insanity. This defense and Pull Micro being picked apart by those shades of Blizzard World. We'll see if it turns out a little better for them though.
Yeah, that was a really good offense. Nage used that Mei wall a little bit too early. And then after that, the cooldowns were gone. And it was just a brawl on the point, and the Doomfist actually got the better of the Mei there. So Bob Meccano getting a lot of value, surging up towards that ultimate. But as you kind of alluded
to, off the side, the greatest Lucio boom I have ever seen in AAOL come through. They tried the sneaky teleporter strat, but Pull Pork has that down to a T.
Oh my goodness, I am so disappointed I didn't see that. I was busy off on a ramble about Maywall timings, but no, Goat's just there getting the big kills. And not only is it just like a really nice play in general, as Foggy says it goes in the montage, but it also just gains a whole bunch of ultimate charge towards that sound barrier, surging up to 86% after a losing fight on point A pretty convincingly. That is absolutely massive ultimate economy-wise for Goat and the rest of their team.
Teleport strat onto the high ground once again. You can see King Spiky whip out the photon barrier as well, splitting the point in half. The Nano Boost onto Foggy. Unfortunately, the Reinhardt stuck in the moat, really, so not going to be able to find much value out of that. There's that sound barrier you were talking about. It's too late to save the DPS, but the rest of the team's still there on point, denying space to their opposition. Insanity back on the high ground, able to lay down an Earthshatter. Nage following that one up, capably seeing it LOES. They're still all over the point, but they're just not getting the kills they need. The sound barrier, it's late, it only hits 4 players. Pull Micro have all the numbers they need, but Bob Americano and Kiki Kizami back in action. Bob Americano in particular sweeping through the opposition. 2 DPS down, just trying to hunt down Goat. An empty immortality field in the point. Don't know, that was just a missed opportunity, but Foggy is back. The Earthshatter laid down, nice little bubble. Gonna keep the Baptiste alive, is able to leap away, whip out the amplification matrix. Kappas back. Oh no, LOES, they just couldn't get the kills they needed, but that was so close to making some progress.
Yeah, that is just the epitome of 2CP there. It was like Bob Americano, the rest of the LOES, they were getting consistent picks, but the way 2CP works, especially on Hanamura, is you just have to get those kills all at once. It cannot be trickles. And then any offensive pick is just basically redundant compared to a defensive one. It's a bit unfortunate. They do need to try and buckle up and get rid of everyone in one fell swoop, but they have every opportunity to do that going into this fight. They have the Space Jam combo with the Graviton Surge and the Doomfist ultimate. That can certainly get a lot done. And they also have the Nano Boost that they can chuck onto Foggy if they want to walk into that Graviton Surge as well. So there is every opportunity here, but Sam's trying to flood it down.
Insanity with a nice flank, lays the Earth Shadow down, doesn't quite get anyone with it, but able to follow up with a nice Fire Strike. Foggy down as well. Bob Americano uses the Meteor Strike to find some value, but not going to be finding anything. The League forced back once again.
Oh, that's actually a little bit unfortunate. Bob Americano used that ultimate, that Doomfist ultimate, and now there's not as crucial of a combination to pair up with that grab. That's a little bit unlucky. And in light of it teasing a few hero swaps, eventually from the looks of it settling on the McCree. Excuse me, that makes a lot of sense. Just trying to shut down the Pharah, because even though the roofs are high, it's still like enough range for McCree to get a decent amount of value. And it can also just put a bit of pressure onto Insanity.
No.
I'm going to be really cautious of that
Nate's
shield.
outside. There's a Graviton Surge inside. Here comes the Farah Barrage from the back. Annihilates the opposition. What a clean team fight out of Pool Port Micro.
Oh, and they had 6 ultimates going into it. They only used 2. So good. Really good awareness of where that grab was going to be and the timing of Nage to come from the alternate angle and get a lot of value out of that ultimate. So good from them. Just really, really good. The one silver lining for the offense is that they didn't use any ultimates themselves, but I think that's going to be pretty redundant at the end of the day.
I don't think they had time to use any ultimates. They were dead before the signals got from their brains to their fingers. But they've been able to make their way at least into the arena this time. King Spiky able to get dashing onto Nage. Bob Americano as well opens with 1. The Graviton Surge invested, locking everyone from the defense in. Just Endius Fax on the high ground, pops out Matrix. Not going to be finding much out of that. And there you go. The team kill you were looking for is out. But now the reinforcements are coming back, Nikki. 2 ticks already taken.
Oh, it is so close. Oh, boy, that's actually a really big slam from Insanity. But there's just so much damage going onto them, they can't actually get any value out of the knockdown targets. King Spiky has the Imagine Blade to seal the deal. And I think I'm back now. I had a bit of an issue.
You are back now. You're a bit in and out, but
okay.
that was
sorry
really...
about that.
That was really well played by LOES, especially given the ultimate disparity they were walking into. You said it right. Pool Pork had used 2 ultimates in the previous fight, 4 remaining, but the League was able to make it work. They got into a position where they're able to isolate a couple of members of Pool Pork Micro. I think they pulled them around. There's still a couple of players at the top of the stairs on the high ground, a couple of players on the low ground, not getting any visibility from the supports. And once they were able to isolate and shut down those 2 players, Pool Pork, they were in all sorts.
Yeah, also really crucially, Bob Americano was just able to sit up on the high ground on the McCree completely uncontested. We actually saw voice cutting out again, boys. Lovely. Well, I think I'm
That's
back now.
That's all right.
Go on.
Just keep talking. You'll be back. You may not be. Oh no, he's totally
okay.
gone.
We saw Nage try to shut down that McCree on the high ground.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said you were gone. You were on a roll. In any case, we're seeing some changes teased out of LOES coming out here. King Spiky back on the Torbjorn. A solid defensive setup coming out of LOES. I'll have lots of pressure for anyone coming through the doorway, and Nage in particular might have a difficult time. Nice little Fire Strike start there for Foggy as well. Just forcing out the Resurrection very early out of go.
Yeah, burning that resource so early on the offense is kind of unfortunate.
Oh no, Foggy.
I think it would be worse if it was the defense though.
Foggy went very low there. Insanity tried to follow it up, but the healing was there from Serpent. Now the Run Hearts both bubbled, feeling invulnerable. And the rest, so far LOES doing a really good job of fending off Pool Pork. Just getting a pick here and there. Burning time off the time bank.
Yeah, even though Nage is getting through the choke, and so did Goat on the Mercy, they were just kind of standing there firing rockets, but no one was dying. That could just be really good heals from medics. It could be good target.
It is good heals. Look at the on ults.
True.
I mean, Foggy waiting in the corner has a shadow at the ready. Insanity does too, though. So I don't know if Foggy knows it's there. Insanity lays it down, goes low. The Immortality Field keeping the Ryan in the fight, and the counter from Foggy with the Nano Boost is fantastic. Taking away the counterpart, quick thinking by medics to save their Reinhardt and give them the opening they need to make it work.
Yeah, really good defense all throughout. They're just doing a really good job of holding onto this choke, not letting anything really phase them. The good stuff from them all the way around. And I'm just having a few issues here, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, my monster gaming computer's annoying me.
Or Lifeline. You can Google it. I don't know the number off by heart.
Oh, that's a good shout, actually. I should go for that. I think I might be back on now. That's kind of.
In any case, the fight is going ahead. The Valkyrie invested early by Goat to find an opening. The Molten Core grab combination is so potent. No one can stand the heat. And LOES, they're still holding on. They invest a lot into that fight, but it got the job done. 2 minutes left for Pulled Pork on A.
You said they had to invest a lot, but they actually kind of had to. They lost Foggy as the first pick. That is like the worst possible first pick when you're playing a composition when you're trying to hold the choke. That Reinhardt pick is so crucial. And as you mentioned, the Torbjorn Zarya ultimate combos is so good. The Immortality Field wasn't enough because you just dropped back into the lava. You're burning. The Immortality Field can't save you from that. And we're like, we have like 1.5 minutes left, but the offense has a lot of ultimates to work with this fight. And their pathing has changed up a little bit. Foggy down again. This one might be able to res as easily.
Oh, they lost Goat though. The speed is gone. So now Pulled Micro, they're going to have to do things in slow motion. Daylight invests the ult. They might be combining that with the Dragon. They are, but they don't quite get the value they wanted. Only Bob Americano was caught in that. Foggy from behind lays down the Earth Shadow. Both Reinhardts charge into each other. But it is Insanity coming out on top with the Valkyrie support. Sorry, no, that's Serpent Knight with the Valkyrie support. Insanity goes down. Kill's still going back the other way. So Pulled Pork, they've got position on the point. I don't quite think they're going to be able to get a pick though. Tick though.
No, it looks like Kekikuzami and Serpent Knight are just holding up the fort, doing a pretty good job. Daylight was teasing the idea of recontesting, but probably thinks the better of it, which is the right call. And this defense has been rock solid all the way around. They've just got the momentum built up. They're waiting for everyone to get back, and then they're going to contest the point as one. It's perfectly okay to give up a ticket.
Oh, they're going for it. LOES throws in the Graviton Surge. Foggy around the outside. Didn't quite find an open. He gets taken down. Insanity swinging away with the hammer. But is King Spiky laying lava all over the point. Serpent Knight. Resurrects Foggy. Bob Americano and Kikizami opening up, picking up the kills they need. This defense is looking so good for LOES. They might just achieve the full hold here. 2 ticks taken, 3 seconds left on the clock, and no one from Pulled Pork Micro is in anywhere near. LOES keeping their hopes alive. Their reverse sweep is 1 map down, 2 to go.
Yeah, what a play in that map from LOES. I'm not going to say I called it, but I called it. I was kind of alluding to King Spiky maybe playing. Oh, the boop.
Oh, it's delightful. What timing too. Medics and Foggy just popped through as Goat was clicking. Love to see it.
That is... Oh, wow. I'm so glad I got to see that. I'm very excited. That is just lovely jubbly from Goat. But, yeah, King Spiky on the Torbjorn. Actually, once they got on a roll on it with that defense, unlike Blizzard World where they just got shut down immediately, the Torbjorn was actually really effective. Especially that ultimate, getting a lot of work into like kind of isolating that choke and is making so many kill zones where the offense are just nowhere to stand without their feet being burned or just in range of the turret, excuse me. So really good defensive play. The set plays seem to be working okay for Orion once they get the kind of ball rolling.
It was now. Pulled Pork Micro are going to get the chance to choose a map of their own. They're also making a swap. We're seeing Firecube come in. That means NDS Fax has been pulled out. So maybe a little change required. They just want to maybe maybe an escort specialist. Maybe they're just looking for a different type of flex support. NDS has been playing pretty much exclusively Baptiste, so maybe they want someone who's a little more comfortable on on the Ana or Zenyatta. We'll see as the match goes forward. But right now, the momentum is firmly with LOES. It wasn't just a close map win. That was a convincing map win.
Yeah, it really was quite good. They had a few like kind of stutters in their step, but they seemed to kind of recover everything really, really well. They didn't even get close to the offense. Didn't even get close to second point in that second round. So really good defense all the way around. And it looked like that we're heading to Route 66. And there isn't as much like set defensive opportunities on Escort as a whole, but like compared to GCP, that is, sorry. And so we might have as much success. But Bob Americano should be right at home on Route 66. It's the most American map you can think of. And there's also like on a bit more of a logical, legitimate level, there's lots of good sight lines for a Widowmaker, particularly on first and second. Even third, you can get something done by sitting up on like the circus trucks or whatever they are. So there's certainly a few good options to chuck out here for Bob Americano on the sniper.
And Bob Americano, just to talk about the player, has been lighting this up over the course of the last two maps. Started a bit quiet, but it seems now they've found their groove, and really a lot of what they're doing is driving low success, particularly on the Doomfist. You saw them wiping away the defense on point A, and then when they were on point B as well, able to find plenty of value and really give LOES the opening they needed to capture that second point. So brilliant play we're seeing out of them. I'm hoping that continues, and in particular, we're getting Kappas, I felt, was really getting the better of them in that hit scan duel, particularly on the McCree. In the start of the map, Kappas was constantly shutting them down, was finding some plenty of openings for Port Micro, but recently maybe a little quiet. I don't know if they've just dropped off a little bit, or LOES has been better able to counter them or be more wary of the impact that Kappas can bring to the fight, and has been more actively trying to negate any advantage that hit scan can bring.
Yeah, as the series has kind of gone on, LOES has got a better read of what Micro is trying to achieve. And once they kind of understand that win condition that they're playing against, they have a lot better chance of actually shutting it down and like prepping some counterplays. Not even prepping, but knowing how to react to it. So it's the longer this series goes on, the worse the default strategy for Micro is going to become. So this is when we might have to start to see a little bit of variation. Particularly on Route 66, the dive mightn't be too bad. So we might have to see a bit of a change up on there. I think that Route 66 doesn't really scream Ryan Zarya to me. It's definitely more of a long range map, so you can either bunker up with the Orisa or you could attempt to dive with like a Wrecking Ball Tracer. The Tracer should be pretty good here, and the Echo shouldn't be too bad either if Nage wants to rip that one out. So they certainly have a few options to kind of stray off the beaten path, but or they could just try and soldier on with their Reinhardt Zarya composition. It hasn't really faltered so far, excluding that really solid defense. But I think a lot of that comes down to the defense itself, not the composition on the offense.
Indeed. And especially with the openness of the first two maps, you could see Nage, as you said, pick up the Echo, stay on the Pharah. Certainly a valid option. Kappas will have no problem, particularly on the defense, finding the room they need to work with for the McCree, and defense is where Port Micro will start. So we'll get a few early indications shortly about where they or how they want to play this. But LOES, perhaps an interesting choice. It's not your map pick. Generally, you get to choose when you want to start attack or defense, but coming out on the attack, they'll be the ones really to set the tone of the map and decide, do we play this fast? Do we play this slow?
Okay, so the defensive composition is interesting. I thought you kind of alluded to it. Well, you didn't allude to it. You said it explicitly. But Firecube coming in, changing the flex support, still rocking the Baptiste. I thought I agreed with you as well. Maybe we could expect to see some Ana, some Zenyatta. Maybe it is a escort map specialist, like you were kind of saying. So,
or maybe Five is just a DPS, and they're thinking, you know what, we're going to chuck a DPS on support. Don't worry about healing. We'll let Goat do all the work. just focused on getting those triple shots to the head of the opponents. And Bob Americano going to have a tough time dealing with an enemy Pharah and Ashe and the Baptiste on the ground.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Nage back on the fire. This is where we saw them be the loudest and have like the most success in this series, as we saw on Oasis. So maybe this is a chance for them to return back to that form with the Up in the Sky, but they do have a bit of contention with the Echo.
Foggy under a lot of pressure there. The Reinhardt has to back off for the moment. They lose Kiki in the process. So a lot of damage being piled on by Pulport Micro. The members of LOES, they're struggling a bit to stay alive. It means that Pulport going to have plenty of position with which to work going forward.
Yeah, Nage is just all the way up there, completely uncontested. But as I say that, Bob Americano opts for the Ashe. I think the Widowmaker would probably do a better job. But it's also the Ashe is a better Mercy pocket than a Widowmaker, so there's a few options. That's a slam and a half, though.
Oh my god, Nage had the barrage to boot. You don't perhaps expect that if you're LOES, for those two heroes to have their ultimates already, but Insanity in particular plays so aggressively, builds up these Earth Shatters like the snap of their fingers.
Yeah, it almost feels like these Earth Shatters have been on cooldown for Insanity. And I wasn't ready for that combo as well. Nage was on their toes, ready for that combo. It was obviously very well communicated. It was a planned thing going into that fight. And it either wasn't being prepared for the offense, excuse me, or it was just too quick and they just couldn't react in time.
Foggy looking for some value, lays down the Earth Shadow Throne. It's good, it hits two, but not quite able to get the follow-up. The rest of the team a little too far behind and has to fend off the enemy amplification matrix. A bold res out of Ghost, sweeps into the cart, picks up Insanity. The Reinhardt able to get away with that too. So LOES not punishing that boldness out of Pulport Micro. Will eventually lose Nage. They're gonna throw in the Ashe as well, just for good measure, trying to stop the cart. And the Bob is the one doing all the work. Picks up to it for the big Omnic Butler. Holy dooly, this is the hero that Pulport was looking for. Bring out the Bob, just bring some stabilization to your life.
Yeah, I was talking about maybe Bob Americano getting a lot of value, but I was obviously looking at the wrong Bob. The Cap is getting massive value out of that ultimate, bringing up essentially the entire LOES roster there. And I thought it started off really well, that fight. Foggy did the right call and pushed past that amplification matrix, so it was basically negated as it was behind him. Made the right call, but it still wasn't enough temporal.
Nice Flux, gonna pick up a couple. Foggy getting slammed down. Medics kill it in the middle of that Insanity. A complimentary Earth Shadow over there, and again, might not be needed, but hey, you do it for style points.
Yeah, that I was trying to think of a food analogy. It's like, you know when you go to like a restaurant and they give you like a thing of garlic bread or something. That's kind of what that slam was from Insanity. It was just kind of there. It was pretty good and you really like it, but it wasn't the main thing of what happened. It was just kind of the cleanup.
You and I restaurant very differently. Garlic bread is a main meal. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, speaking of main meal, Insanity, the main tank, is going very low. Gonna have the backup from Nage. The Vara gets killed, but the damage is done. The late Bob on the field out of Bob Americano. Americano's Bob. I couldn't. Oh, you know, I've wasted an opportunity there, but it's too little, too late. The car is stalled up on this first corner.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tongue twister as well. Actually, like try saying that 5 times fast, and I'll show you some garlic bread. I'm really interested to hear your garlic bread habits. Actually, I think I have a lot to learn as a young whippersnapper. Apparently.
Well, there's a lot in play coming from LOES. They've got 5 ultimates in line. They're going to burst them all out to make some progress because there's no point in taking them into the next round. You don't get to keep them. Once again, Kappa's Bob is on the field, but under a lot of pressure this time. LOES, they're wary. This Bob probably has 5 gold medals and is wondering what the hell the rest of the team is doing. This time, not going to be finding as much value. It does buy a little bit of time, but the ultimates are there. Kiki locks in on the high ground. Nage is down. The cart is making its progress forward. There's a couple of players left for Pulport, but it's just a token defense at this point.
Yeah, Insanity went for the slam, but it didn't quite pay off. This offense is pretty much set in stone to complete point A in overtime. Bit of a struggle. It took a while to get started, but once those ultimates were up, particularly the tac visor from King Spiky, I believe it might have been a nano visor. So just pretty good play all around them. Built up the ultimates. They played it slow, and that's what they need to do. Either way, they got point A, and they have time to keep on pushing point B. Bob Americano might not have the best positioning yet, But as they push further forward, they might be able to take a bit more space to open up some more sidelines for this Widow.
Ella in the low ground under a lot of pressure. It's going to force Insanity to drop down and join Foggy, trying to follow it up. Has the Earth Shatter. Enemy Ryan is out of the play now. For all the space you could want. They get they cop Nage in the backline. Nice res. Once again, Goat going very aggressive to bring Insanity back into the fight. And the tide is turning. Daylight's grab Flux, lifting up a couple. Serpent Knight may just get away with their life, but they might be the only one at this point. LOES, they were looking good, but forced back once again.
Yeah, I really like how Foggy was pushed so far forward, and it was absolutely the right play to make, but it just didn't quite work out. And what is this? Do we have a soldier all the way in the back line? They're going to flank for attack visor? The Doomfist is there, the Doomfist is about to drop around them. Here's the visor, doesn't get much value. The Immortality is there just in time.
Being chunked down very low already. King Spiky has distracted the rest of the team. Foggy lays down the Earth Shadow, it's good for 2. And Serpent Knight over the top with the Valkyrie as well. Wants to confirm this. Go once again. They're so bold out of this Mercy. I'm going to keep saying it, but that's just an accurate description. The Mercy, no fear. Jumping in, getting the resurrection where required. You see where Nage chooses to put the fist on the ground. Down it comes. Getting it hunt down on Kikasami. The Doomfist finishes that off, and the reinforcement from Pullport Micro, they might just hold the day.
Yeah, it's a close one, but they've all come back. Yeah, Foggy's on their own. A bit unfortunate. You used the word bold. I think the word that you might be looking for is confident. Goat had full faith in both of those bold... Well, I just used the word again, damn it. But in both of those reses, that the team was going to be able to support them. And it was also just a really good knowledge of where the opposition was, to the fact that they mightn't have even needed team support because they wouldn't have had time to close the distance. And what is this? Oh, that might be a boop onto King Spiky. He manages to just stay on the ledge, but the rest of the team has wrapped around. There is a 5-1 split. King Spiky's on the flank.
Once again, LOES with the last-ditch attempt to finish off the point. They got the value they need. Bob Americano, 2 with the Deadeye. Bob on the field in response from Kappas. And LOES are just getting better and better at dealing with that ultimate ability. Once again, by the skin of their teeth, LOES looking to cap out the point and continue their progress through Route 66.
Yeah, it isn't looking too shabby, and so far they are what you'd call LOES, that is what you'd call an overtime team. But it doesn't matter in Escort, really. The time bank really isn't as fruitful or impactful as on something like a Hybrid or even a TCP. So as long as you get that objective, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And going into this fight is going to be a really interesting one. There is the double tank ultimates up for both sides. There's just going to be a lot of damage being done immediately, and Nage, oh, here comes the Flux.
Serpent could be crucial here. The Valkyrie ready for the Mercy. They whip it out as soon as it comes online. Foggy goes to the Earth Shatter, denied. Insanity Fire Strike going to shut that one down before it can even happen. Ultimate cancelled, and Pullport Micro happy to press their advantage all the way to the league spawn.
Yeah, really good canna play from Insanity. Definitely winning the Rhine games, excuse me, in that one. And now you can see them backing up, holding the corner, and the grab to lock up the Rhine. Are they able to capitalize on it? They can!
Insanity shuts down the grab and the attack visor. Foggy gets to kill onto the Reinhardt. Bob Americano with a Deadeye as well, looking to turn the tide in the favor of LOES. Go with the resurrection on Insanity with the Bob on the cart. It's going to stall things out, so things going, the momentum shifting back and forward for both teams, but Pullport Micro is still on top. The cart not making its way forward. The entire defensive team set up on the cart. They've got so much protection from the environment as well. As overtime is triggered, it's all or nothing for LOES. They have to commit, they have to get the job done, otherwise they will be stopped 2 points and 30 meters into Route 66. A Graviton Flux over the top. Daylight just to finish things off in style. Goat getting in there with the blaster, takes out their counter. Nice play out of the Mercy there. That will be that. LOES stopped, giving Pullport Micro a clear match victory condition.
Yeah, but I think you might be jumping the gun a little bit. We just saw it on Hanamura Temporal. LOES is more than capable of these first point holds. And I think that their best hope, obviously, is to just do it again. Hold on first point, not even give them the chance to get anywhere near that golden box of victory. And it'll come down to what they want to play on this defense. I think that there's definitely potential for Bob Americano to get a lot of value out of a long-range sniper pick. Anything like that is really good if you set up on Big Earls or even any of the rock formations if you want to use that. There's a few options there. Foggy has a few good corners to play around with the Reinhardt, and especially in assistance with a Sigma. But interestingly enough, we're actually seeing Bob Americano opt for the Farah. And playing up at this guy a bit like Nage did on their defense, they saw how well that worked. Maybe they're trying to recreate it. So maybe this time I'll be ready for the Barrage Slam combo. But I think a really big difference here is going to be medics on the Ana. In this composition last round, Firecube was rocking the Baptiste. So the Ana versus the Baptiste is an interesting matchup. The Immortality field's kind of huge, but I also think Bionade is a very, very solid ability. It's like the best non-ultimate ability in the game. And it also provides a bit more support for that Pharah, so the Mercy can pocket other people like King Spiky on the Ashe if they want. So there's just a bit more support all the way around, particularly up in the air with the Ana. So this defensive composition, I'm a big fan of it, and it definitely has potential to work, but not if you're dead.
Double hit scam plus a Zenyatta going for the Pharah is going to make life very difficult for that Rocket Queen. She's res back into the fight. Now Bob has the work cut out, and you lose Foggy and King Spiky that early. Yeah, you get a boot, but the damage is done. The defense is on the back foot. Now you're just playing to burn as much time as you can off without perhaps giving your lives away too cheaply.
That's a charge and a half from Insanity, holy dooly, but Daylight is there with the support, keeping their fellow tank alive. And this the respawns are kind of back. There's like 5 players back for the defense. Maybe they can try and fight this.
Yeah, you got King Spiky back on the Doomfist, already out of action. Takes care of Nage. In the process, a little opening credit. You got the trade you wanted, perhaps. As you said, the defenders are back. Oh no, Medics had the Discord all went very low. Insanity able to cleave that one away. Follows up on the Kiki, just for good measure, and nothing stopping Paul Port Micro at this point. A relatively clean first point for them.
Yeah, a bit of a staggered defense, but it was pretty heartless, really. I don't think that there's any realistic situation where the defense wins that, even though it was only a 5v6. It just wasn't really going to go anywhere. Okay. But on the bright side, the defense now, because of how they lost it, they have a few opportunities to hold high ground, and it looks like they want to be doing that. And Kappa's down early. That is a good pick. Now it's a 65 in their favor.
Kappa's went on a flank, but didn't see King Spiky held up on top of this little garage here. So Doomfist able to get the drop on the McCree, follows up onto Nage as well. The cart is going to be stopped just as we come inside. Insanity in the back line with the Earth Shatter, but you're all alone, or you've got Daylight there as support, but a Fire Grenade is going to shut any thoughts of that tank pair making an impact.
That was actually so funny. At the very start of that fight, right where it was Kappa's died, Insanity charged Foggy all the way over to Narnia. And they were just out there having a brawl. Insanity was looking like they were going to take it, but Foggy got the nano boost, securing the 1v1 win, asserting the Reinhardt dominance. That's a little bit funny. I enjoyed that. But even though that Shadow was invested, Foggy is in a really good spot now to land one on their own without having to worry about the Shadow from the opposition.
Speaking of Shadows, both tanks' ultimates online for LOES, but they don't have any support ults. And at this point, neither did Pulport Micro. The Trance gone, Kappa's down as well. A great start for the fight. Both the DPS investing their ults in this tight and closed space. Pulport Micro are lucky to get away with their lives, even if you're Daylight, you've got about 5 HP left.
That was so close. Daylight 100% should have died there. But either way, they effectively won the fight. It forced a reset out. And King Spiky, I'm really loving how they are playing this Doomfist, making full use of the mobility available to them in Doomfist kit, going so early into the backline, taking down, I believe it might have been Goat on the Zenyatta, just getting that pick so early on, eliminating that Discord orb, and here comes the engage again.
Both fluxes out, Daylight's find nothing, a couple coming through for Kiki, but the Immortality field keeping everyone on Pulport Micro alive. Reinhardt's swinging away in a tight and close space. He's going to see the advantage. Not really sitting with either team. Trades back and forth. Lots of ultimates invested, particularly out of Pulport Micro. And in the end, might get a little bit of car progress, but it's still not decided.
Yeah, Insanity has a slam though, teasing Kekuzami with the solo slam. Didn't seem to quite happen though, so the Kekuzamis have to be on their toes with the shields, but the offense push, is still coming. And this is a fully fledged fight here on point B.
Insanity lays the hammer down. 3 hit the floor. Serpent was very low, but able to get away with their life. However, the tank line from Pool Port Micro pushing forward, picking up the kills they need. The Mercy finally goes down. Amplification Matrix. A little late, but you know what? Just for good measure, the Fire Strike might do a little bit more damage. Pool Port Micro, they get a secure second.
Yeah, this is looking really good for Pool Port Micro. They have like 3.5 minutes to just get it like barely around this first corner of point B. We're going to have to see some miraculous hold here from LOES if they want to secure this. And the respawn is so close. This is like essentially 6 fights here for Pool Port Micro to get something down. And that is not the first pick you want to lose, Temporal. Foggy down.
No, Kappa's on the high ground looking for Valley with a dead eye. The Sigma Shield burns straight away. It means Bob Americano has nowhere to hide, and LOES, they have so many ultimates to work with, but they just you need bodies on the cart to make use of them. Spiky cops a nano boost, gets in there, the Meteor Strike slams down, doesn't quite find anyone. Insanity very low, beautiful buy grenade, Adametics, making sure the Runheart can't survive for very long. The Dragon sweep through, take care of one, and it looks like LOES might just have what it takes to hold on for the moment.
That was an absolutely clutch defense. King Spiky receiving the nano boost, landing those abilities, gaining those extra passive shields, and then, of course, the damage reduction from the nano boost, just keeping them alive on that objective. But that is a slam.
Oh, Foggy had no hope whatsoever. Kiki, the grab Flux in response to Daylight. Both the Sigmas throwing them in pretty much together. Attack Visor for Nage, clearing so much space. Right now, Serpent actually behind the attacker team. A little out of sight, out of mind, but in the end, Insanity is going to shut that one down. The Amplification Matrix is there for LOES, but it's just a window to Pool Port Micro's victory. They finish off Kings Row and secure victory in the match. Well done to Pool Port Micro.
Yeah, really solid play all throughout. Taking a squiz at this play of the game. Big man Insanity on the Rhine, absolute menace all series long. There's the Flux. There's the slam. You don't need a barrage for that slam. The slam will do just fine. Wait, this was the garlic bread slam. Oh wow, that was pretty epic from Insanity.
I mean, I had garlic bread today. Anyway,
yeah,
let's get off garlic bread for a moment. If we get some pause time later on, we can also not going to repeat what Goat said in chat. But speaking of Goat, if I'm looking at a player of the match tonight, I'm hard pressed to go past that main support from Pool Port Micro. Said it many times, just so adventurous, able to dive in and get some honestly insane reses onto Insanity.
Yeah, and I think excluding one round on Blizzard World where they were just really struggling to build up that Lucio sound barrier, Goat was having consistent impact on multiple support heroes, whether that was the Zenyatta, the Mercy, the Lucio. Really solid play from them all the way around. I 100% agree. Goat will be my MVP of this match.
Look, they get a free pass on Homura thanks to that 3-player boop when LOES first tried to attack point B. But yeah, solid play all round from Pool Port Micro, not just from Go. I mean, Insanity backed up their words. They were typing a bit of chat into Discord, just hyping themselves up a little bit, and really, they delivered on their promise.
Yeah, Banters, I think, is in good place if you can back it up. If you can talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. There isn't really a gaming word that rhymes with walk, is there? I don't know. But it'll do. Yeah, so Pool Port Micro take the series 3-1. Bit of a stutter on Hanamura, but that was just all credit to LOES with a really, really good defense, making really good use of that Torbjorn play. If I had to give a standout player for League of Extraordinary Subs, I'd probably have to give it to probably King Spiky, really. On the Doomfist, they got a lot of work done. On the Torbjorn, they got a lot of work done. Really solid work all the way around from that.
And all round, the DPS in this match, particularly on lows, showing off their flexibility across a wide range of heroes. It gives your team options. You're not stuck with running a single comp if you don't want to. Or then again, you could be like Pulport Marco. You run a very similar composition the whole time because it is your best showing, and it ends up working. But in the end, it was Pulport Marco who were able to pull out the victory, and they go into the final week of their season at 2-2. They've got a good chance of finishing 3-2, and performance like that next week, I wouldn't put it past them. I would bet on them, as you can do in the Twitch chat with the channel points.
That was a smooth segue, my friends. Smooth as butters. But you're also jumping a little bit far ahead. We aren't quite at next week. We have another series tonight. That is Frantically Check's team.
New Era Academy versus Leyline Firebirds.
Firebird. You're right. That will be an absolute bloodbath of a match. Firebird looking pretty good standings going into this series. New Era Academy hoping for some redemption. And that's what we get to experience on the other side of our break, friends. My friends, stay safe.
stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop never stop never stop dreaming. Never stop, 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 never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop never stop never stop dreaming. Never stop never stop dreaming.
Welcome back, and I know you're all here from the first match because you wouldn't want to miss a single second of AAOL that happens this season or any other season. But you know what? If you're new, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and welcome you to tonight's broadcast of AAOL. We're in the middle or the closing stages of Stage 1 of Season 12, and right now we've got a Division 6 match for you between New Era Academy and the Leyline Firebirds. I'm Temporal. Joining me is Niki, and if last match was anything to go by, Niki, we've got one hell of a series on our hands this time round too.
Yeah, it should be an absolute bloodbath, and I'm hoping for it. Just quickly touching on the rosters, particularly on Firebirds. I've casted a lot of these players before. Particularly standouts for me are the DPS of Artemis and Drowsy. Artemis, she is a ridiculous Tracer player. Like, she is absolutely nutty, so keep an eye out on her. Drowsy is also just very, very solid on that DPS role as well. So I think there's big potential for these DPS to be standout picks here.
Well, they'll need to be on top of their game. They've a little bit of history behind this team in the Leyline organization, a great org within the Oceanic region, but particularly Captain Hill, Volpe, Artemis, and Drowsy all coming, all coming from the old Suck Gaming Legion roster. So they've been playing together for quite a while. They've been featured on the AOL broadcasts late last year, so plenty of time put in by these players developing the necessary cohesion, which they'll be looking to take them forward across today. However, they counter New Era Academy. they're a relatively new team, so maybe still forming some norms, working around, playing with each other, but it also gives them that little bit of volatility that it might throw a spanner into the works of Firebirds, that they might not exactly expect what comes out of New Era if they've got some weird, tricky stats that they've never seen before.
Yeah, and right off the bat, we're seeing a big change up from our last match. This is very, very dive heavy, particularly from the side of Firebirds. These engages are going to be really quick.
Jeez, speaking of dive, Firebirds with the Winston Wrecking Ball, not a combination you see pretty much ever. You often have an off-tank to provide a little bit of support for the rest of the team, but you know what? Unchecked aggression, I'm okay with this. And so far it's paying off. Artemis, that deadly Tracer you mentioned in the pre-match, already going to town on this support line, follows up onto Lazy. Blimey, she's wiping the opposition away.
Yeah, it's taking me back to like early 2000s wrestling. It's just ruthless aggression everywhere. And Firebirds having a pretty good run with it, actually. Like, despite the maybe unconventional tank lineup, they managed to secure the dub for this first fight of Oasis. And now, because of it, they have all the room to start on the high ground, so then they can engage onto the low ground without using their abilities. All of that fun stuff, just micromanaging those abilities, getting the most value out of every cooldown as you possibly can, and Volpe going in very early.
It's a hell of a dodge. Those adaptive shields providing a little bit less survivability for the Wrecking Ball than they used to, but Artemis already going to work once again. The Pulse Bomb online, and if you're going to stick someone, stick to Tracer just to assert your dominance. Probably the most tricky target with how she can get away with things, and it provides a beautiful opening for Firebirds to wipe away their opposition once again. This time they don't even lose a player.
I was talking about it in the pre-show. Artemis on this Tracer is someone that you cannot neglect. You just absolutely disgusting, filthy. There's so many adjectives that I want to use.
Yeah.
Just very, very talented on this Tracer, and putting it to full effect in that fight, wrapping around the flank, getting what, 3 members, including a very clean pulse bomb kill. So good job from them, contributing greatly into this fight on the Tracer.
So you're going to see New Era Academy looking once again to come around the outside and the street side of things. Volpe with a similar engagement, but this time the proximity mine splitting up the nominal attacking team. Lazy goes down early. Beck, unfortunately, wanders into a proximity mine. Jazago, the Primal Rage line, batting some players around, but not quite able to isolate anyone that might have liked Magnine, sorry. Able to pick up one with a dead eye, but immediately going to be burst down by Drowsy. Artemis, of course, going to work once again. It's just all Firebirds at this point, and as they tick up towards 99%, it's just Lazy with the emergency Wrecking Ball trying to buy time for their reinforcements to come back into the fight. Drowsy finishing up Peck, the Wrecking Ball, the last player standing over time, burning down oh so slowly, but it will be fast enough to secure the point for Firebirds.
That was actually kind of ridiculous from Firebirds. They play that dive so aggressively, and big props to Captain Hill, who's traditionally the off-tank player, flexing over to that Winston, flexing their muscles and fitting right in, and getting a lot of value out of those picks. And immediately we are seeing a bit of a change-up. Maybe it's just that map. Maybe we would have seen dive from our previous 2 teams if we got that far. But in here, it's definitely a bit more beneficial to play this Reinhardt. We could be getting our first taste of Orisa tonight as well, with the new patch update on the experimental patch going live. Sorry, so like the fortify headshot damage is basically none. So a lot of just sustainability, survivability there for Volpe on the Orisa. Once they set up on point, we'll get a whole lot of value.
Double shield means double trouble for New Era Academy. They're going to have to bring out a lot of damage to burn through those. There you go, the Fortify online.
That's a good wall.
Just went out because she was cool, but you're right. Captain Hill isolated, stuck on the high ground, going to be burnt down. Beck finishing that one off. That's a great opening for New Era Academy. The Drowsy getting dirty, rooting the Doomfist into fight. Thanks, you've had your fun now. Go back to spawn, little support. And it will be New Era Academy with the first control.
Yeah, I'm loving this change up from them. They're getting a lot of value out of this mate. There's so many like tight chokes that you can exploit, and they did a really good job of it onto Captain Hill there. Just that tiniest fraction far forward, and max BP immediately there with the capitalize. Not so successful this time, unfortunately.
And the war comes out once again. This time Captain Hill, the first to fall. Beck once again doing the duties. This time Drowsy out of the fight. You're not going to be losing any players that easy. Your Academy, they hold on as Firebirds fall back for the moment.
Yeah, another pretty convincing fight. Jazago went for a pretty massive slam through the remnants of the ice wall from Max BP, but Volpe's Fortify was there to just block that, and no one behind it was hit. Everyone was safe. Good use of that ability there from Volpe. Jazago negates that ultimate, unfortunately for them. And we're just resetting once again. Blizzard Online from Max BP could be big.
Captain Hill goes low, has to back out a beautiful fire strike through the window. See Jazago pick up a couple of platypus over the top as well, and the chase is on New Era Academy, marching all the way to the nominal defender's spawn.
Sheesh, that was a really neat combo. Winning that fight off the back of an ultimate as expendable as an amp matrix is kind of nutty. Like, that ultimate can be built up so quickly, especially when you're playing as like closed in and built up as you are in this brawl composition. And there's so many ultimates to invest into this last fight to secure the bag, but there'll be just as many on the other side as well, so this fight is going to get very hectic temporal.
It's going to be a fustercluck. The May Blizzard is out already. Deadeye finds nothing. Ult going both ways. So far, only the Flashbang finding any direct value. Artemis opening up, showing they're not only a star on the Tracer, but on the McCree as well. Mag9 shuts that one down. Overtime has been triggered, but it is Firebirds with control of the area, and they will flip it in the nick of time.
Yeah, quite a few ultimates actually invested in a losing fight there for New Era. So that's a little bit unfortunate for them, but also at 99% they have plenty of time to start rebuilding those up. Excuse me, sorry, bait a few out of the defense themselves. So there's definitely time for Era to capitalize on their really good start to this map.
Supercharger out to provide all the damage that Firebirds could possibly need. Artemis and Drowsy making great use of that. They actually run out of range of it. Turns out the Supercharger, not so required after all. The team is confident enough in their own abilities. Going to chase New Era back once again. Still got a long way to go.
Yeah, that was just a little bit too aggro from Jazago. Volpe reactively popped that supercharger, and Jazago just didn't stand a chance. Everyone with that like massive damage increase, they were just doomed from the get-go onto them. Bit unfortunate, but good play all the way around for Firebirds.
That's a very aggressive amplification matrix, I guess, providing Firebirds an opportunity to look into the window into their own soul. Death Blossom countered by a beautiful wall out of Max. Sound barrier as well from Platypus, keeping everyone hale and hearty. And New Era Academy looking to make their way back onto the point. They've got the first pick. See if they're able to capitalize on that. They're going to have to deal with Captain Hill, both Reinhardt's Earth Shatter each other. Captain Hill, might have called the Capitol Hill, my apologies. Gets frozen, able to escape that. Now the Blizzard online, but Max going to take Volpe down. Becca's Max able to get kills actually, so the Blizzard didn't look like it was going to get much, but it might have been enough to get the better of Firebirds here, though there's still players from either team on the point. Artemis will be taken down, the point flipped back towards New Era Academy. I don't know if anyone can make back. Yes, they can. The Wrecking Ball from Volpe.
Yeah, really nice bit of tech there, dropping into the pit before activating that pile driver, but I think it might be in vain. As I say that there are a few players back, but I just don't think there's enough damage to actually pick up all of these players when they're grouped up.
Oh, the Graviton Surge. Mag9 over the top with a Deadeye. You had Jazago there with the hammer just in case it was required, but nothing doing, and that we'll see. A bit of turnabout play in New Era Academy, tying things up. They are going to have to resolve this in the Gardens.
Yeah, after just 2 stages of Oasis, we've got a pretty good picture of how this series is going to play out, in my opinion. Any opportunities for Firebirds to play a dive like they are attempting to this round by the looks of things, their dive really, really good. And I think that is something that New Era want to stay away from, that dive, and they want to stick to their more traditional, not traditional, but they're more like comfort picks with the brawl composition. But they want to make me eat my words by the look of things, and they are opting for the dive. They think that round on City Center, sorry, it was just like a bit of an outlier, a bit of a weird one, doesn't happen much. they are confident going into this dive matchup. But once again, it's just Artemis back on the Tracer, so I'm expecting big performances out of her once again.
Already going to town on Jazago. No main tank for New Era Academy. Firebirds following up that advantage. They're going to clean away their opposition. Slimy Springs. Nice little orb of discord there just to finish things up. A biotic orb, sorry.
Yeah, getting a lot of value out of that. When you're all grouped up in that corridor, that skill orb, I believe, is the proper name for it, Temporal. The skill orb gets a lot of value. Yeah, I'm always at it. It's fixing up names. I even know the names of some of the stages, unlike some certain co-casters, they Papadaka.
Thankfully, Papadaka not in the server to be able to defend themselves. We're going to focus on the match. Oh no, TD gets a nice early boop onto Platypus, Artemis and Slimy Springs. With a couple of kills, and look at that, Artemis beating the way to the opposition. Are they even using those pulse pistols? I don't know. But we'll see. Firebirds continue to build up their percentage.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just found out like the 10th rule of Fight Club is Artemis wins at Fight Club. Getting right in there with the melees, getting a lot of value out. Clean fight from the defensive team in control of the point. They didn't even use a single ultimate either, Temporal. That is ridiculous. Just off the back of raw damage, they managed to win that fight out. And the key pick here for New Era is going to be the Sombra, but they're taking their sweet time charging up their EMP. But as I say that, they get a lot of ult charge off of Volpe.
Yeah, nice manual hack onto the Wrecking Ball. It's going to see a Coalescence being forced out of Slimy Springs. Drowsy getting in on that Tracer action, the duplicate in full force. We could see a double pulse bomb in this fight, triple pulse bomb if they're fast enough, but it's not the Tracers doing all the work, it's Captain Hill and Slimy Springs, excuse me, up front. Zago with the Primal Rage looking for some value, but once again, the Monkey's just flailing around the point, trying to find something, anything. All the meanwhile, Firebirds are the ones coming out on top as they build up to 80%. We're looking at a repeat of first point.
Yeah, once again, Firebirds appearing superior on the dive, but they are about to face their toughest challenge yet in this EMP. TD4 is going to have to be really cautious of where they position so they can pop the sound barrier in response. They get hit! There's no sound barrier, Temporal.
That's four-player EMP, but it's Firebirds are the ones coming up with the kills. Doesn't matter if they can't use any abilities, their left click is still there. Volpe's proximity mines clearing so much space, and Firebirds University was just a blip for them. Perhaps they're on a gap year, who knows? But they're going to secure Oasis and set themselves up well for the rest of the series.
Yeah, after that round, it's kind of been put in wax for me. But if it comes down to dive, Firebirds have it in the bag, and that is something that New Era Academy really has to consider when they have the luxury of now choosing what map they want to go to next. It's what, Blizzard World, and I know my maps, I swear, guys.
It's the
Blizzard
other one,
World and
Hollywood.
The other one, that's the right, Hollywood. And so they have to be
it's one of the maps that is in Kings Row.
Yeah, I miss Kings Row, man. I'm going to start a petition. Let's get Kings Row back in for like the last week of this stage either way, because it's just so good.
Now, let's hope that Blizzard removes it from Overwatch 2.
No!
So it's a way to make a game fail there. So we've got all these new exciting features, PvE, new heroes, new maps that we're taking at Kings Row. It's like, sorry, mate, no deal.
No,
sorry, I've distracted from your point. Well, let's talk about the Overwatch 1 match we've got going on right now.
Yeah, what I was going to try and allude to was like, Magnan picks Kings Row as the map anyway. What a gamer! So they have the choice. New Era Academy have the choice of going either to Hollywood or Blizzard World. So that is going to be a tough choice because they want to pick one where the dive is going to be the least prevalent. Because I think after that series on Oasis, they do not want to play any more dive because they just haven't had any success with it. So they have to really toss up their options. But the unfortunate thing is, Hollywood and Blizzard World are both decent enough dive maps in their own right. So unironically, they really would want to be going to something like Kings Row, where it is essentially forced into that more brawly Reinhardt style Temporal.
Indeed. Speaking of styles, Firebirds is curious. We touched on it a little bit. They're running the double main tank up front. And normally you would have an off tank, maybe the Zarya, maybe the Sigma, sitting at the back protecting your supports. But Firebirds, they've got TD and Slimy Springs playing the Lucio and Moira. Those are two supports who don't necessarily need the kind of protection that other supports might, like the Ana or the Zen. So running those two supports the way they are opens up the options for Firebirds, is that they don't have to worry about the backline. They're not worried about their DPS either, so they can really play an untracked, aggressive style, which can prey on a team such as New Era Academy, which is a bit newer and may not have the, I guess, instinctive cohesion that you might need to deal with so much aggression in your face.
Yeah, it's certainly a tough one, especially for these new teams. The word that's chucked around a lot is synergy, but I think cohesion really does a better job of it. Just being able to play as that unit and know what's going on is pretty solid stuff. So that is something that New Era Academy, of course, will develop with time. The core of Firebirds have been together for a hot minute now, so that is already significantly built up, and we start to see that particularly in those like communication heavy compositions. I'm going to bring it back to the dive. In that dive composition, they know what they're doing because they've done it so many times before. New Era Academy do not have that luxury, and the map pick has been Hollywood. So Temporal, I think that we are almost ready to jump in.
We are indeed. The teams are swapping sides as well, so Firebirds will get to start out on defense. So really the pressure will be on for New Era Academy to make an impact. They don't want to be facing down the barrel of having to full hold A on their own defense and potentially also protect themselves from facing match point. But it's alright. Control is a little bit chaotic. That's just the nature of Control. It favors those teams that are happy to play the weird, wild styles, the more in your face. Now we're here on Hybrid, it's a little more set, a little more structured. You've got certain choke points that the attacker team has to come through. Hopefully, it provides an opening there for New Era Academy to take advantage of. They've got some set plays ready to go. See how it plays out.
Yeah, there's certainly a few options on the defense to play some set strategies. Like you can certainly get away with it. Because it's just like the control doesn't change.
I'm just kidding. Don't bring out the Bastion Bunker, please. I don't want the flashbacks. Just play proper, lovely looking Overwatch.
I don't think the Bastion Bunker is too awful. I kind of get where you're coming from. Yeah, playing into it isn't very fun. But also, a well-constructed dive can take it down. And this is actually really interesting. We're seeing like a full-on traditional like 2017 dive coming out from Firebirds on the defense. And the Winston is there getting ult charged so early, Temporal.
Give. I like seeing this Captain Hill flexing their off-tank muscles. Of course, Captain Hill actually last year on Legion was playing support. So truly a flexible player, able to bring out multiple roles where required for the given team. As it is, New Era Academy, they've been able to make their way onto the point. A nice little freeze onto Volpe is going to force the Winston away. They're both tanks for Firebirds are very low. But as he's able to take care of the May, so a little pressure gone, as is the McCree. So the damage core gone from the attacking side. Drowsy's still continuing to cleave through the opposition. Things are looking good for New Era, but in the end it will be Firebirds holding on without giving up a single tick of progress.
Yeah, pretty good stuff all the way from them. And we are seeing a few swaps, so they're opting out of that Winston Diva back to that more, what they are more comfortable with in the Wrecking Ball Winston. So this appears to be something that they've like played like pretty consistently. It isn't like a spur of the moment kind of thing. It is what they're comfortable doing. And Volpe has always been a monster on this Wrecking Ball. So certainly something to watch out for. And we got a really good first look of the changed boot mechanics and how significant that is.
What a combo. Biogrenade slam sets Drowsy up for success. Sweeps through the support line. Magnite and Lazy get a couple of kills back. So a little opening now for New Era. They'll hopefully be able to capitalize on in the next fight.
Yeah, as I was kind of saying before, they did a thing and they fought, which is a bit disrespectful. Let me talk. But we saw the boot distance from Desago like greatly decreased. Like, normally that would have booped them right into the enemy team. So it's definitely noticeable, these changes, and that might start to signify Wrecking Ball swerving a little bit out of the meta, who knows. But I think really importantly, here comes the Nanoblade Temporal.
Oh my god, the flashbang! shuts Drowsy down for a bit. The Genji's still alive, sweeping through, and the rest of Firebirds are there in support, just in case the Genji wasn't quite able to get the value they wanted. A couple of ults invested by Firebirds, but it does the job.
I was about to say temporal, but more importantly, here comes another blade. But Drowsy and Slimy Springs beat me to it, popping that combo. Everyone was kind of cooped up in that small room. The Immortality field, once it's distracted, they had no hope, really. Sound Barrier wasn't online from Platypus. She couldn't do anything about it. Solid combo from them. 2 ultimates to win the fight. They have a few more coming up. They're in very good position to continue this prolonged defense on point A Hollywood.
Nice little BB play there from Volpe, just clearing out the security room. They want to make sure that the era plays by the rules. Little hoodlums are up to no good, I feel. So being
Starting
around the
causing trouble in the neighborhood.
The chase is slightly on, but you're seeing a lot of patience out of Firebirds. They're not being reckless. Actually wrap around back onto the point. Proximity mines. Oh, and the Bio Grenade combo, the Immortality field ain't gonna save you. The coordination from Firebirds is exquisite. They just collapse on their opponent as one. It's like they're of a single mind.
That was proper filthy. Volpe and Slimy Springs again with that slam, bringing them all up above the shields. The Bionade perfectly timed from the Ana, and then Drowsy and Captain Hill are just free to cleave through absolutely everyone. And we're coming up to Final Fight territory. There's beats up for both sides, but this should be defense favored. And then Lucio's down. Drowsy, what are you doing?
Oh my goodness! Don't even need the nano boost. Drowsy having an absolute field day on Hollywood. No one even going to be able to touch for New Era. Just utter class out of Firebirds.
Yeah, that was really, really good. And it's seeing them get maximum value out of all of the heroes that they've chosen to play. Like, they're getting, especially the Bionade, which I kind of mentioned in our previous series, is, in my opinion, maybe the best non-ultimate ability in the game. And if not, it's certainly like a top 3. So getting massive value out of that every time it's off cooldown is quintessential for Ana getting a lot of value. And they have 100% been validating that pick and justifying it and making sure that we don't have any sliver of doubt in our minds to why that pick is being played. So good stuff from them on the dive. The question is, will we see the same on the defense? Or will that everyone be cooped up in Cafe a bit too much of a deterrent and maybe they want to go to a brawl and just force them out into the open?
We'll see how it plays out, but the way Firebirds are playing, things looking really good for them. And ultimately, it's going to come, as the attacking team now, it's going to come down to what kind of openings they're able to make. You don't necessarily have the ability to set up plays like you do on the defense. It is possible, but it's a lot more difficult. So, New Era Academy, they've got their work cut out for them, but it is certainly a doable prospect to full hold here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time tonight we've seen a full hold. And it's very possible that it happens again, but also that one tick is just such an obtainable goal, especially when you have fight-winning combos like Nano Blades on the field. What they can take all the time in the world, the offense, to build up that combo and then just go, or they can just fight it normally in Raw.
So far, Firebirds have taken the high ground. See, New Era rotate back towards Cafe. Both teams, of course, playing very similar styles, means Firebirds are the ones likely taking the initiative, and they can press the point, force New Era to come to them, and so far it's paying off dividends. Look at that, they're already almost at that tick. Firebirds on top of the world right now. It looks like New Era just doesn't have any answer to what's being thrown at them. Firebirds are clean Hollywood on match point, and they're looking good to take it out in a quick 3-0.
Man, I'm keen to see this play of the game from Drowsy. Good Genji Blade, send this off to Noob Hunter or something, I don't know. But here it comes. The flashbang doesn't deter him, down to 18 HP. It just manages to stay alive. That damage reduction from the nano boost is so crucial. Cleaning up the kills. But still, even though that play of the game went to Drowsy, it cannot be undersold how much of a team play that was. Without everyone else in that team contributing, that play would have been nothing and Drowsy would have just been dead.
I'd be curious to see the stats from that match for Firebirds. I don't think they lost a full 6 players across either their attack or defending rounds. When you saw one of the stat cards, there was Artemis with a 19-player kill streak. It's insane. That would have been on their defense, and just quality across the board out of Firebirds. And we talked about it. The team play is just sublime.
Yeah, it's so good, and that's what you get from these like already integrated rosters that have like a pre-existing core. You just get like a main component of them with a good idea of how they want to play and how they communicate it, and then it's so much easier to get 2 people on that wavelength instead of all 6. So they aren't exactly starting from scratch by any means. And it's looking pretty good all the way around. And it looks like that we are heading off to Anubis Temporal. We haven't been there yet tonight. Last match, of course, we opted for Hanamura. But Anubis, a bit of change of scenery. And the dive is definitely still prevalent on point A. But on point B, I really feel it leaning a bit towards that Reinhardt, Zarya, even the Sigma composition. So that is a chance for New Era Academy to make some ground.
Indeed it is. They're going to be hard-pressed to do that. Firebirds, of course, most likely will be sticking with what's been working for them so far until it doesn't. It's just the way of things. If you've got no reason to change, why bother disrupting your own momentum? But so, really one of the keys to success for New Era Academy will be how much time... we'll discuss it when we get to the defense. Right now, they've got to focus on their attack. They've got to find a way to break through this Firebirds defense without losing a player or 2 at the start. Depending on what they roll out on, they may have to be wary, particularly for their supports. If they're not the most mobile, they don't have the protection they need, they could find one or both of them getting picked off early trying to make their way through the arch, and it'll make the rest of their attacks so much harder.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm liking this defensive composition a lot. I think that the introduction of the Widowmaker into this hero lineup makes a lot of sense. There aren't as many flank options. All the flanks are pretty easily scoutable for a Tracer. So holding up the Widowmaker is going to get a massive sightline, and the question is going to be for New Era Academy, who's going to challenge that Widow? Is it going to be Jazago? Is it going to be Mag9 on the Echo? We don't know yet, but that is the big thing that we have to find out. Who is going to challenge Artemis, or is she just going to run wild and put this defense on her back?
Well, certainly secure up the back. Not really going to have much in the way of barriers to protect her. But the way Artemis has been playing so far, probably not too worried about that. And look at that, already opening up onto Beck. The Brigida has the shield, but couldn't quite find their way through the main choke. And you can see repositioning with the Widowmaker. So, New Era already on the back foot.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad first pick. And there's another one. This, isn't... time-wise, this is pretty good for the defense, but they also maybe aren't getting as much ultimate charge as they would like from participating in a full fight and coming out on top of it. Particularly the supports, they might find themselves getting a little bit less ultimate charge from the healing than they might like. But I guess you're still winning and you're still shaving time off the clock, so you can't complain too much.
Mag9, that is the opening you were looking for. No resurrection. Means New Era Academy now have the window they needed. They sent Jazago around looking Flux Valley. Where are they going? The Era, they're chasing down Volpe. They're not actually capitalizing on the opening they made. They managed to finish off the Wrecking Ball, but they lose Mag9 in the process, and Artemis will be back soon enough. So the opening is now gone, even if they manage to take down Captain Hill.
Yeah, I was a bit scared for a second. It looked like New Era were just a bit too hesitant to push through that choke and actually make their way to the objective. But that has finally happened. Sleep dart onto Drowsy before they can pop the Nano Blade. Dying before they choose to pop that one. Mag9 with the crispy headshots. And this should be going the offense's way, right?
They need to be getting the kills, though. The reinforcements coming back, and look at that Drowsy on top of the Dragon Blade. The Nano Boost is their sound barrier. 70 mines laid down under the bridge, but I'm not sure that New Era have the presence they need to get the job done.
Oh, Magna getting the best of that Widow 1v1 once again. Really stepping it up this round on Anubis. Max BP not wanting to be left out either. But this defense Oh, here comes the Nanoblade Temporal.
On the high ground, Slimy Springs has to reposition, able to spot Drowsy for the Nanoblade, but the proximity mine shut down the Genji and the Lucio. New Era finally find the space they need, all off the back of a couple of great picks from Mag9.
Yeah, really good stuff on the Widow, making sure Artemis has some opposition. Even if, like, Mag9 was getting the better of Artemis in the majority of those duels, but even if they weren't, the fact that they were occupying Artemis's attention is so crucial, because that means they have to be looking at the Widow and not actually landing shots onto the supports or dealing damage to the tanks. So really good pick, good awareness of how that has to play out. And as we move into a more enclosed space, Artemis back onto her signature Tracer. Mag9 trying to counter that with a bit of a McCree. The flashbang is going to be really potent, and it also puts a decent amount of pressure onto Volpe and Drowsy. So I'm a big fan of this McCree pick.
Well, so far, Mira still fighting on the outside, having to deal with the straggling members of Firebirds just harassing the backline. Artemis going to work. Mag9 already down. No fear of the flashbang coming from that Tracer, and here come the rest of the team streaming out through the front door. So Jizago with a nice little slam to try and disrupt things, but Wrecking Ball has to back off.
Yeah, that was like a bit of a soft reset for the defense there. They didn't actually, for the offense, sorry, they didn't actually lose any players, but they just kind of got forced backwards by superior firepower. But this isn't looking like too bad of an offensive push for the offense. They have the Nano Boost online, which is pretty important. But the question is, who do they chuck that onto? Do they chuck that onto the Wrecking Ball?
My goodness, Firebirds so aggressive. They don't even wait for New Era to pop out of that side room. They go all in. The proximity mine splitting up the team. A couple of players trapped in the corner. The health pack provides a little bit of benefit, but not enough. Max throws in a last-minute pulse bomb, but in the end, there's no one there to capitalize on that kill. Firebirds, a solid defense so far on point B.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I think so far it's been on the back of some really good Tracer play from Artemis. I think one thing that I'm really noticing in her play is she, not once in this series, I don't think, has really engaged in a fight head-on with the rest of her team. She's always coming in from some different angle, catching them off guard, making the team victim to her Tracer, looking in multiple ways while trying to deal with her as well. There's really good Tracer play all the way around.
The rally early from Beck, the prox mines on the point, and a self-destruct just to clear some space. A lot of ultimates invested by New Era, trying to make their way in, and now the response from Firebirds. Drowsy, the mimicking self-destruct. Zago's prox mines actually managed to find a kill just before they expire, but so far, New Era, they haven't been able to find much room. The point is still in Firebirds' control. A lot invested, but no value.
That's actually a really nice boop there from TD4W to just keep Jizago off the point. That was good use of that 3-second, 4-second cooldown. Another good use of it onto Mag9 as well, while Firebirds is just kind of cleaning up this fight. And the question is, will they get any like late stagger kills? It looks like they're going for it. They get Beck, they get Platypus as well. That could not have gone better for Firebirds. Just shaving even more time off the clock, and Jizago gone as well. By the time all these respawns are back, it's only going to be 1 minute left. And really crucially, actually, Platypus just swapped off of the Ana onto the Lucio, while I believe they had the Nano Boost in the bank. That is an interesting play, and Beck swapping over to the... I do not understand this at all. Is Beck not comfortable on that Lucio?
No, Platypus has typically been the main support playing Lucio, so they need the speed. You swap the players onto the heroes they're good at, because you're only going to get one more attempt, so you might as well go all in.
Fair enough.
Going all in, Lazy and Jizago going very aggressive, hunting down the supports of Firebirds. They're able to get Slimy out of the fight. There is a Deadeye from Mag9 as well, sitting on point. It's going to clear space, at least a tick taken, so no chance of a draw, at least on the first attacking run through. Drowsy onto the McCree, immediately off the McCree. A pulse bomb from Max B, taking care of that. Oh, sorry, that was the duplicated Max B. Blimey, both Echoes duplicating, taking care of each other. Echoes across the board down, but now TD and Artemis back out with a couple of kills. Trade's going either way. The proximity mines out of Volpe going to clear off the point. So much space now for Firebirds. Almost 2 ticks taken for New Era. Beck able to get a kill, but I think all might be said and done for this attack.
Yeah, I think that this defense is not meant to be... This offense, excuse me, is not meant to be. The defense certainly is. It's just another example of 2CP and the offense not being able to kill the straggling defenses quick enough, just getting picked one by one instead of as a cohesive 6. And they're 58.8% gained for the offense. So this is certainly winnable for the side of New Era, but for their best chances, they're going to want to hold on first point. The question is, what are they going to bring out? Is Mag9 going to force another Widowmaker duel? It went favorably for them last time. Why wouldn't they now? Excuse me, are we going to see a bit more of a shake-up on the supports? Are we going to have a bit less like swapping around last minute, giving up those ultimates? I hope so, because I think that Nano, even though there wasn't like a super desirable target for it, could still got a lot of value and just gained a bit of presence on the point. And as we approach to see who everyone is going to be picking, particularly for the defense, Mag9 is opting for the Widow. So I think that, it doesn't look like Firebirds is straying too far off with the dive either. So
we'll not let them bait us into anything before they come out of the spawn gate, though. Interestingly, though, Max hovering over that Junkrat, and given they're on the defense, they might just be sick. Oh god, now I just said it. I'm a hypocrite. I got baited. My apologies, dear viewer. We are going to see some slight changes. Platypus back on the Zen, Beck on the Brigitte.
Yeah, I like the Brig pick a lot, especially with the Zen, because Zen is just so fragile without that extra support with the armor pack. So, good combination of supports here. I reckon it has the chance to get a lot of value. And my question is, do you think Artemis will opt into the Widow duel, or do you reckon she'll try and make it work on the Tracer? She didn't go super well on it last time, but then who else is going to contest Mag9 up on that high ground?
Tracer v Widow. I reckon Artemis knows a way to get to that high ground using those blinks. And already a good opening for Firebirds. There you go. Artemis already chiming in as well. Onto Beck. Floppy is down, but you've still got the numbers advantage. Dago on the high ground, going toe-to-toe with Captain Hill. If they New Era can remove both of Firebirds' tanks, doesn't look better for them, but it is Artemis coming up trumps once again. 2 ticks taken. That will be that for point A defense. New Era banking it all on a solid point B.
Yeah, but still 6 minutes in the time bank temporal. That is nothing to bat an eyelid at. Firebirds have all of the time in the world to just bunker down, do a few eco pushes, build up those ultimates, and engage in all 6. And realistically, they can probably have 2 6 ultimates fights in this time if they keep on going at this pace. This is not at all unrealistic, but the defense is bunkering down with Torbjorn and a Reaper as well. They really want this defense temporal.
Similar sort of approach from Firebirds that secured the couple of ticks.
Keep up a tick! They're getting already!
And the kills are still coming for Firebirds. The defense is in all sorts right now. Proximity mines will buy them a bit of room, but a counter sound barrier coming through from TD, and there's the Dragon Blade. Nano Boost not required. The Boostio is on the field. That's what we like to see. Secure the win with a fancy pants play like that. Firebirds are approaching that little tick of victory. There it is. It comes through. A clinical map from Firebirds. Secured on the map win and sets them up to hopefully go top of the group.
Yeah, they were, second in the group going into this series. They now have a record in the stage of 3-1. That is not shabby at all. And it is all on the back of this excellent dive composition. Captain Hill just doing a monstrous job on that Winston. So good from them. And I harped on about them all night long, but Artemis as well on the Tracer, very, very solid. Everyone on this roster was very, very solid, and that's exactly what you need to make a dive work. It is by no means a one-person show. You absolutely need everyone on the same page and contributing a truck ton to make a dive, especially with the Winston work in this kind of meta climate.
Indeed, and we talked about it. Firebird just had the coordination in spades, particularly you harken back to Hollywood. That slam bio grenade dash combination, which is terrorizing New Era Academy. They get into a position where they want to engage, but then Firebird just shut it down instantly. There's just no response to that coming out from New Era, and in the end, Firebird just putting on a masterclass of how to play dive and how to play that classic dive in particular.
Yeah, it's so good to. We saw a little bit of classic dive at the start with Winston Diva, but the majority of it was the Wrecking Ball Winston. I've always called that a hyper dive. I don't know if that's just me and my history with certain organizations, but it's always been a hyper dive. Just so much the kind of like double main tank. Or Wrecking Ball, Wrecking Ball was main tank.
Yeah, Wrecking Ball. You're right. They're both the signature frontline heroes when it comes to forming a dive composition. You say we're building dive. All right, here's your choice. You can have a Winston, or you can have a Wrecking Ball. And Firebirds said, "I'll take both. Both, thank you."
It's like when you go to. It's like when you go to fish and chips.
Lovely off tanks. No thanks. We're fine.
It's like when you go to fish and chips and they ask you what salt you want, like normal or chicken, and you say both, and then you're just having like a great time. You're just like, and then the seagulls come steal all of them, and then you're just miserable. But there's no misery here.
It sounds tasty, but I'm just worried about my arteries at that point.
Fair enough. Temporal, before we make like John the Baptist and head off, do you have any shouts for MVP?
Well, certainly some Stella Baptiste. I'm actually having trouble picking. We mentioned that deadly combo. I'm happy, though, to go back to Artemis. It was just consistently opening. When it was down to the individual players, it was time and time again, Artemis in the kill feed. Oasis was just a standout performance, and particularly those 2 rounds where Leyline were able to capture the point 100-0, it was all Artemis all the time. So happy to sing that Tracer's praises all night long.
Yeah, absolutely. If you didn't guess by how much I was talking about them, I am 100% on the same page with you on that one. Certainly, at least in the kill feed, an absolute standout. But I'm sure behind the scenes in comms, there were plenty of people who were just absolutely coordinating that and in charge of that coordination and responsible for their success so far.
Indeed, we're just basic casters, so we specialize in kill feed reading here. Hopefully they get some decent casters on next week. Speaking of next week, you make sure you don't miss out on any of the action that AOE is throwing your way. AOL will be back for the 5th and final week of Season 12, Stage 1. Stay tuned to all the AOE socials to find out all the information. That's Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, at /AOE Esports. You can also make sure you're supporting us on Patreon. We've got a few shout outs in particular to the people who are supporting us. We'd like to thank Galileo, Random Thing, Kerberos, Raiden, and Lamington in particular for their ongoing support here at AOE.
It really does mean a great deal to us. There's plenty of cool perks that you can get. You can choose to have your match streamed, have someone cool like me and Temporal or someone even cooler talk over it, and try to make it somewhat of a show. And I think we've almost done that tonight, Temporal. Do you have any closing words?
I mean, it's easy to say we're putting on a show when the teams are just lighting up the screens the way they are. I love watching AOL and everything the teams do each and every single week. I'm looking forward to it continuing on into the future and us continuing the tradition of being the biggest and the best Overwatch competition in the Oceanic region. But aside from that, we are done for tonight. We look forward to seeing you around these parts soon. Make sure you're also tuning in every second Wednesday for the In the Backline podcast. You can find out about all things AOE, in particular AOL and Conquest Clash. On behalf of Nikki, myself, and Abby in the Observing/Production booth, thank you all. Have a good night.